Greetings, everybody. Welcome and happy Monday. Nico Jazz, D, lurkers in chat, VOD viewers, and everybody else. Welcome, and I hope you're all doing splendidly this Monday evening. I'm a little bit stressed out. I was having some technical issues. I was running a bit late. And then on top of that, I had some technical problems, but it looks like we've got it all sorted. We're up and running. We're good to go. And we're here for some James Bond. What do I even say? We endeavored to explore the full depths of James Bond 007 in The Living Daylights, the computer game, last time. And, that was interesting. I think that was a, in some ways a high watermark in terms of, Bond games so far. In other ways, it was I was about to say a travesty, which I guess is a little bit harsh. But, it was, didn't necessarily fully live up to, its potential. But I think it's actually really interesting to play these games in chronological order, because obviously as I was setting up everything, preparing to embark on this journey, I had to make sure that I had the games and were able to run them and everything. So just about every game that we have here, like, I booted up something and making sure that it's working, but it's you do that in kind of a random order, and a lot of these games, especially at first glance, they seem fairly unimpressive, let's say, being charitable. But it's, I think it helps. I know this to be a fact, but it's different to experience firsthand. But I was going to say, going through them in chronological order really helps you appreciate games that you might have otherwise thought less of. Because obviously you kind of, without thinking about it, compare games to other games you've played previously, and whether or not you have a high expectation, or not an expectation, but whether you put games like, I don't know, GoldenEye or whatever in like high esteem, it's easy to look at these very old primitive games and say, wow, is that it? That's all there's to it, and it's very janky and goofy and weird. But when all there has been previously are things that are even more janky and weird and goofy and inconsequential, the tiny bits, can go pretty far. Nico Jazz redeemed Crazy Climber high score attempts, which I would gladly do. However, I will not be able to do that tonight because I don't have my upscaler on hand. I had to lend it for a thing on Friday, and technically I have it back, but I don't have it set up here. So I'm afraid, Nico Jazz, I'm gonna have to take a rain check on that. I'll refund your points, but we will have plenty of opportunities for more Crazy Climber score attempts in the future. No problem. Good to hear. In any case, the first couple of Bond games, the first one from '83 or whatever it was, simple as it is, it was kind of neat. It incorporated some key aspects from the various movies it took inspiration from. We had the reasonably abysmal, albeit ambitious, Commodore 64, A View to a Kill, and then we had the text adventures, and then we had The Living Daylights, and so far, I feel like we've seen some good examples of pretty ambitious takes on what it means to, simulate the James Bond experience in an old computer game. And even though it is easy and I think not fully unfair to look at some of them and say, you know what, this ain't it, chief, I do think it helps, as we play these games in chronological order and can kind of witness the technological evolution between them, as we can see maybe in some ways game design as a as a discipline, kind of mature. And I think we'll certainly see it at one point or another when just production budgets changed, because even though the first game we played was technically a console game, right? And we played text adventures, like they're all kind of different things, but I think it's fair to say that for the most part these are all very small games, pretty low budget affairs, games that in the grand scheme of things came out fairly early in, not just like as games, but more specifically licensed games. What does it mean to license a property and make a game out of it? Not that that's like a linear evolution from somewhere where it was kind of iffy and became something more solid and good or whatever, but it certainly changed over time. And I think I don't know, that's why I love doing these kind of projects. You have this very specific lens through which you get to see kind of how game development and the game industry and markets even like sort of evolved and changed over time. And I think that's really cool. But I think also having that same perspective, like I'm sure many of the games we would be playing for this, I would, and you probably would too, see just in a different light, if it hadn't been for the context. Or I mean certainly you could play any of these. I'm not to say this is the optimal way to play these games, but there is, I think, added value to playing anything within a deliberate and specific context. Or maybe that's what I like to believe, given that I'm going to dedicate presumably years, plural, to this nonsense. But that's neither here nor there. Tonight we are moving on to the next leg of this journey, which is mission number 6. Ian Fleming's James Bond 007 in Live and Let Die, the computer game. And we'll take a closer look at that in just a few moments. As usual, though, I would like to do a little bit of housekeeping up top. And just talk very briefly about some upcoming stream stuff that's going to be happening here and elsewhere in the coming week. As you may be aware, and you would find out if you click the little Shao Kahn in your chat window, the Viewer's Choice versus Fighting Game Friday Night Bonus Stream Challenge has been completed. And because I had prior engagements on this past Friday, we weren't able to do it then, but we will be doing it this Friday. So that's going to be fun. It's going to be a jam-packed week, because not only do we have the Friday bonus stream, we have the Wednesday stream as usual, which presumably will be dedicated to further adventures in Live and Let Die. But tomorrow, I'm actually pretty excited. I've been invited, I've been asked by Lord Ash Said Hi to join her on a stream together with Ann K and Chubo. We're going to do a little bit of a live art session, drawing stuff, whatever thing. And it's a thing that I guess it's like the word, not a sponsored segment, but well, maybe it is, I don't know. But it's like we're doing it to promote a new like Twitch feature, which is called Guest Star, which is basically a thing that lets you more easily have other people on your stream through Twitch itself. So we are actually going to be, I guess it's not my stream. I'll be featured on it though, and we're going to be on Twitch front page tomorrow night for an hour slot, apparently. So that's going to start at 9 p.m. Central European Time, 3 p.m. Eastern, I've been told. So actually, why don't I try this? There we go. A little shout out to Ash, who is a cool retro streamer. So you should probably follow her if you aren't already. Just in general. But also, her, me, and Kay and Shubo will be on stream tomorrow to do some art together. And I don't really know what to expect of it, but I think it's going to be a lot of fun. So I recommend you tune in and hang out. I don't know what to expect in a lot of different ways, but we did like just a quick test the other day to like make sure that everything was working and everything. And I'll be honest, this is not me like shilling for the sake of shilling. I'm not really getting anything out of it, but I was honestly shocked at like how simple it actually was, and it just like worked. You like click a button and then you get like a chat and window and whatever. So it actually seems pretty cool. So the idea of it, I guess, is to make it easier to have other people on your stream, so you can get like you can have someone's like cam and you know, you get their voice chat audio stuff, and it's easier for you to integrate in your stream in case you want to like co-stream or do some collaborative stuff. So that's really cool. I'm actually excited to experience that and see how that works in case I would actually want to do something with that myself. Who knows? But mostly I'm just happy to join in with some very cool people. I'm honestly pretty flattered to be asked, and I consider it to be highly prestigious company. So I'm excited for it. I'm looking forward to it, and I'd be happy for any of you guys to check that out as well. Should be a lot of fun. So yeah, that's tomorrow night. More Bond on Wednesday, fighting games Friday, Saturday video games of some kind, I guess, on Saturday. I feel like this is going to be such a fully packed week that I think Saturday's stream is going to need to be something highly relaxing. But yeah, there you go. Should be an exciting week. But with all that out of the way, because we're even running a bit late here, I think it's high time that we get to some Bond action. Man, this fucking Power Drift soundtrack just going nuts. Pretty good music, though. So, we are, of course, checking out mission number 6. Ian Fleming's James Bond 007 and Live and Let Die, the computer game. Came out for a couple of different systems. I believe, looking at that list, that I actually do have all of these versions on hand. Not 100% sure if I have run tests for all of these to make sure that I can actually run them. But I know that I have the files for the Amiga version, Atari ST, Commodore 64, Amstrad CPC, and ZX Spectrum versions. The Amiga version, at least, was developed by Elite and published by Domark. They had a run there where they published a whole bunch of Bond games. I don't know. I didn't really have time to do the research if other versions were developed by other companies. But from the very, very little amount of this game that I've seen, they look fairly similar to each other in terms of like being the same general game. NPC, what is up? How's the bonus mission goal going? We'll take a look at that in just a few seconds. We'll check in on the Q branch research funding. Let's just quickly go over the synopsis for this game here. As 007, you've been given a top-secret mission to find the drug baron Mr. Big, who is planning to flood America with tons of heroin. To help you, Q has given you his latest gadget, the fastest and most dangerous speedboat ever made. 007 must travel along the various waterways, shooting bullets and missiles at the red targets, avoiding mines and dive-bombing helicopters, planes, submarines, and boats. It's a very evocative way of describing Bond's greatest adventure yet, or the most dangerous adventure yet, or whatever, because that's everyone is the most exciting, dangerous, and spectacular mission yet, right? That's how it goes. We did watch the movie on Saturday, so we'll talk about that briefly. Mission obviously not very top secret if they made both a movie and a game about it. I was gonna say there's even a book. I guess I don't know if there is, but it's probably a novelization of the movie. Yeah, not that secret. I mean, they keep talking about James Bond being the world's most famous secret agent as well, which is like, seems like a bit of an oxymoron, or at least being the world's most famous secret agent doesn't sound like it makes you the world's best secret agent. It's like the world's top public agent. I don't know. Let's take a look at the Q branch funding initiative. We are currently at 5,500 out of 20k. So we noticed we had last time some gift subs, or sub bomb, I guess what it's called, right? And it was not did not quite function properly, so I had to update some of these figures manually. There's some technical kinks to work out with some of the streamer bot stuff. One such thing is I had the idea, what I wanted to do. In fact, do I have? Nope, I don't have a shortcut for this. I wanted to have the bottom little panel where it says type exclamation 007 in chat. So what happens right now is when someone makes a contribution, when someone subs or donate bits, or anything happens that adds points to the Q branch research funding, there's a little animation type thing at the bottom where it will go off screen, it'll come up and it'll show you the total and it'll show the numbers being added. And I wanted that to cycle. So like the text box that's on the bottom now, it's up for a little while and then it cycles out to the funding status. But unfortunately, I didn't get around to figuring out the logic to like set it up so that basically the animation that I have now is going to kind of override the cycle and it's going to like get things out of sync and it's going to mess up. So right for now, I have to kind of resort to just bringing this up if people ask, basically. Another thing I was thinking of is having a chat command that like tells you what the current status is. And I think that should be doable, but it's a little finicky and I'm not a programmer, so even just getting some of the scripting type stuff to work is a little bit out of my wheelhouse. But we'll see. Games Bond is you know, estimated to last for quite some time, so there should be time at some point in the future to make some initial or not initial, it's the opposite, additional, I guess, work on some of these features. What's up, Goaty? Baller's Gate. Merconia attacking will prompt her to scream the name of her secret cult deity. Yeah, that seems seems a little questionable. Yeah, I know. I appreciate that, Goaty. I just, yeah, just it's so time consuming, all this shit. And like once you get things at like, I think basically where I was at is like I reach a point where it's like it's functional, it's not broken. So I'd rather leave it there for now than like get over ambitious and try to improve and add stuff, and then you end up like it's not super easy to revert to a functioning state if you add stuff that kind of breaks it. There are ways to do that also, of course, but the number one easiest thing is just to not do anything. Just leave it as it is. So we'll see. In any case, for anyone who may be confused about what we're looking at on screen here, I mean, the photograph is self-explanatory, but we are soliciting help from the community, I guess is how we can phrase that. All contributions in the form of subs, cheers, donations, etc. will add to our funding pile here, which when reaching the goal, the currently set goal of 20,000, we will unlock the first bonus mission. And the going exchange rate is basically 1 point here per bit or equivalent. More or less. The goal and everything is all completely arbitrarily set. We will most likely make some adjustments when this goal is reached for the next one. But we'll see. The idea, of course, is for this to kind of be a running thing throughout the course of Game Spawn. We wouldn't want to burn through all the bonus games too quickly. But if it looks like it's going to take overly long, we'll workshop something. But it's nice to have a little secret goal to work towards. I think so, anyway. So, with that, why don't we do a tiny bit extra research here and prepare ourselves for the experience we're about to have. So I believe we should be able to do this. All right, well, okay, there we go. This is the box and manual for the Atari ST version, which was the closest thing to what I was looking for. From my experience with a lot of these types of games, these manuals and everything tend to be either very, very similar or identical. So I'm fairly sure, and also I flipped through this and it's very light on detail. So it's not like we're going to miss out on a lot of crucial information. Actually, come to think of it, I think I did find a PDF of an Amiga version manual, but it was basically this, except it had like it looked like a black and white. It looked like a fax or something. It's like so basic to look at. So this is going to be at least slightly nicer to look at. But as we've learned so far, many of these games that we've been playing, they can be a little bit cryptic without help from the manual. So let's go through this and see if we can prepare ourselves for what's ahead. Also, I guess this is Roger Moore right here. It should be mentioned for those of you who was not present for watching the movie the other night. This entire game is based on one action scene from the film. So the film, takes place in a few different locations as is typical for Bond, but it's all very it's all about this voodoo, top secret cult / heroin smuggling operation. And so there's this one sequence where they're in, I guess this is outside of, I don't know if it's outside New Orleans, but it's in Louisiana somewhere, I guess. And I think it's Bond has been captured and he's being fed to crocodiles and he escapes. So he steals a speedboat to get out of there. And then there's this big speedboat chase, which is, pretty cool. But it feels kind of not disconnected from the rest of the movie or anything. But I'm fascinated with the choice to make this game. If you wanted to make a game based on Live and Let Die, yeah, I think you should incorporate the speedboat chase. I think it's a pretty iconic part of the movie. But I also think as a whole, the movie, certainly compared to The Living Daylights, not A View to a Kill, Live and Let Die doesn't really have a ton of action set pieces. It's not it's not huge on action. It's a game. It's a movie that's a lot about the really cool atmosphere of this kind of the Caribbean setting, and it's got incredible villain characters and just these really cool locations and everything. So it's just very cool vibes. And I feel like the speedboat sequence, or whatever you might say about it in terms of it being a cool action sequence or whatever, it doesn't really have any of those vibes, because none of what contributes to that, sure, it's got this kind of Louisiana setting or whatever, but it doesn't, the swamps and rivers or whatever, that's not the exciting part. And the thing is, if you're making a game of a contemporary movie, you're kind of, that is what it is, and you take what you can get, and you make a, you look at what the movie is, and you're gonna figure out what we can make of it. But that's not this game, right? Because this is a 1973 film that they made a game out of in 1988. Jomark had put out The Living Daylights in 87 to coincide with that film's release, and in 1988 there was no new Bond movie, so they picked an old one, and they picked one that is a cool movie with cool characters, but is anything of what made that film cool gonna even be in the game? Doesn't seem like it would. But I don't know. I guess we will find out, won't we? Here's the back of the box. As 007, you have been given a top-secret mission to find the drug baron Mr. Big, who is planning to flood America with tons of heroin. To help you, Q has given you his latest gadget, the fastest and most dangerous speedboat ever made. We have arranged some hair-raising practice sessions for you in extreme conditions. You'll go from the desert to the icebergs before we let you loose in Florida, Mr. Big's home country. Florida? Is that a thing? Alright. I don't think they were ever in Florida in the film, but I could be wrong. As 007, you must travel along the various waterways, shooting missiles and bullets at the red targets, avoiding mines and dive-bombing helicopters, planes, submarines, and boats. Eventually, you have to destroy Mr. Big's heroin factory at the end of the waterway. Good luck, 007. Isn't that the plot of Atari's Hydra? I guess I wouldn't know, but maybe. Yeah, like, I'm trying to think, because, like, isn't the whole thing that they're, like, smuggling heroin to New York? Or whatever. Like, I watched the movie 2 days ago, and I already can't remember. I guess it doesn't really matter, but the fucking Arctic landscape we see in the screenshot here, yeah, the desert and icebergs. Like, I guess that's the thing, right? Like, they're talking about all these practice sessions. So I guess they're acknowledging the fact that there's, like, one boat chase in the film. So to have multiple levels in the game, they just, oh, fuck it, you know, we'll just do some practice runs. We'll do other boat missions across the world that have nothing to do with the plot of the movie. And then we can have a boat chase that actually sort of, I mean, he doesn't, like, fire a gun and shoot down helicopters in the film. He sets a guy / boat on fire by sort of sneakily tossing a can of, like, gasoline at him and a lighter. And that's pretty cool. But obviously I'm not complaining. I'm not saying, oh, it's too inaccurate, but it's just funny how little of the actual essence of the film is there and how much of it is so extrapolated. Because, you know, you look at The Living Daylights. Yeah, of course, Timothy Dalton doesn't run around and shoot 8,000 people. But every location, every set piece, every scene is like, yeah, this is, I know exactly what this is based on in the movie. They took, like, specific aspects and elements of it. But here it's just, fuck it, it's a video game. Which, you know, fair enough. It's a reasonable enough approach. Though it kind of makes me wonder, come to think of it, you know, having this, like, was this game originally conceived as a Bond game, or was it a boat driving action game that became a Bond game? And it's like, well, Live and Let Die happens to have a boat scene, so let's turn it into that. Because it very much seems like it could have just been whatever. And aside from some 007 logos and whatnot, I don't know that we get to see... like, imagine if this game lost its license and was still going to be released. It doesn't seem like there was that much they had to scrub off to make it, you know, not a Bond game, which is not usually a great sign for a licensed game, because you kind of want the source material to be pretty deeply, like, ingrained with it, right? What's up, Netscape Navigator? People make that assumption a lot. This does seem like a more likely candidate than others. I mean, to be clear, I guess I wouldn't seriously suggest that to be the case. Certainly not based on the fact that it's not that similar, because I think there's so many reasons why that would happen. I mean, not least the fact that a lot of these games would have come together very quickly. Certainly for games based on contemporary movies, you have no idea what materials the developers even have access to. So a lot of the time they would probably, you know, they'd have an early shooting script at best, and then just have to kind of guess what things are going to end up like. Like, I think that's reasonably common. And then on top of that, you have so many of these games being, like, contracted to some British 19-year-old left to his own devices to cook together a game in 6 weeks. Like, you're going to come up with whatever. So, I think when I say that, I mean more that, like, looking at it, it easily could have been that. I mean, whether it is or not, like, I mean, maybe it is. I don't know. But it's, you know, it's just fun to look at and sort of piece together how much, or how little, rather, even resembles the film. What's up, Slippery Elm? Based on an early unreleased version of the movie that was way more boat heavy. Yeah, someone had this 15-year-old movie at the time of this game's release. Someone had this special secret cut of the film that they were a big fan of. They're like, this is the game we're making. Maybe they made it based on a trailer. Yeah, maybe, you know, 1988, home video was certainly a thing, but maybe, you know, maybe the film wasn't as easily accessible, so someone had like, you know, it's based on someone's vague recollection of having seen it in the cinema 15 years earlier. Like, dude, that was just a sick boat chase. This dude just walking around talking about this amazing Bond boat film that you can make a Bond boat game out of. And it turns out that it's like one scene. It's like, nah, whatever. We're making that game anyway. Let's read the introduction and instructions. Dr. Kananga, the infamous and ruthless Prime Minister of the Caribbean island of San Monique, an island whose people are controlled by the fearful power of voodoo, is harvesting huge fields of poppies concealed under camouflage netting on the Paradise Island. He plans to control the US market by flooding America with tons of heroin, which would create a living hell for millions and incidentally provide money for arms to Eastern Bloc allied San Monique. Is that a thing in the film? The arms? Oh, well, maybe. I mean, seems about right. Dr. Kananga, or Mr. Big as he is known in the underworld, spoiler alert, is a shrewd operator who conceals his dealings from prying eyes. His headquarters, which are well hidden beneath a cemetery on San Monique, spoilers, ships all the unrefined heroin to processing factories in remote and inaccessible locations. In fairness, I guess this is, I mean, it was a 15-year-old film, and it's a, 49-year-old film at this point. So, I guess, just consider this a stream-wide spoiler alert. What's up, Ted Zabera? As 007, you've been given a top-secret mission to find the notorious drug baron Mr. Big. Okay, we got a boat. I think we've covered that numerous times. You'll go from the desert to the icebergs before we let... well, Florida. Okay, whatever. So eventually, we'll have to destroy Mr. Big's heroin factory at the end of the waterway. Not a thing in the film, by the way. Which, I mean, I guess makes sense. You know, the boat is just... or the boat scene is a thing in the middle of the movie, so obviously the big climax would not be in conjunction with it, but whatever. Loading instructions. Okay, I think we probably won't need these, especially because we're not playing the Atari ST version. Problems. I'm sure we'll have zero problems of any kind. But if we experience any problems with the software, please carry out the following procedures. Ensure you are following the loading instructions. Please switch off your ST from the mains and disconnect any external drives or upgrades and try reloading. Problems persist, please try another piece of software that you know to load and work. If this software still loads and runs, then return the faulty software to your dealer, stating the exact problems encountered. Alright, suggest that you ensure the disks are write protected. Okay. This product requires your computer to be connected to a television or color monitor. It will not work on the Atari high-resolution mono monitor. Good to know. The game. As James Bond, you must travel along various waterways, engage in target practice, conduct South American jungle missions, tackle Norwegian fjords and Middle East desert exercises. It's an amazing bullet list there. Okay. In the target practice section, the red target must be shot with a forward-mounted machine gun. The black targets must be shot using missiles. These are two exercises that enable Bond to learn about the type of defense system used by Kananga, and finally conduct the mission, which is bristling with something or other. Dr. Kananga's defenses is what it's bristling with. Yeah, you guys remember the Norwegian fjord scene in Live and Let Die? I guess that's what we saw in the screenshot. You must avoid mines and gun emplacements whilst dive bombing enemy helicopters, submarines, enemy planes, and enemy boats. Wait, what? Whilst dive bombing enemy helicopters, submarines, enemy planes, and enemy boats. Is there, like, not a verb missing there at the end of the sentence? Oh, well, whatever. Some of these boats drop mines or booby-trapped fuel barrels and can only be destroyed with a missile. Along the way, you must pick up fuel by driving over fuel barrels, as well as canisters containing fuel and missiles dropped by the CIA helicopters. This is tremendously well-written English here. So that's right. It's going to be like horizontally locked afterburner with limited fuel in addition to limited ammunition. And it's going to be on the Amiga. So this is going to be a fully impossible game. I assume. I do think that at least one of the dumps I have of the Amiga version does have a trainer, so we should not have too much trouble getting through the game one way or the other. Well, I say that, but I guess it depends on... Well, we'll find out. I was going to say, because even if we can cheat our way to, like, infinite life and, well, infinite fuel and whatever, we might still, you might still have a thing where, like, you have to hit certain targets or something. Like, there could be... this could be one of these games where even when you're using maximum cheats, it's still impossible. These things have been known to happen. I mean, just look at A View to a Kill. Not that that's the norm in any way, but, like, a trainer does not preclude the possibility of us not being able to finish or see the entirety of the game. But it surely increases the odds. You got the 19-year-old programming the game to write the blurbs? Yeah, maybe. Maybe. Or I guess they got the, the hungover marketing team fresh in from partying all night with the British Games Press. I don't know. Anyway. Your speedboat must travel through dark tunnels, slide up slopes to avoid obstacles, and must destroy closed locked gates with missiles. With a lot of skill and some luck, you will reach the heroin processing factories at the end of the waterway. The factory can only be destroyed by leaping off a log into the air and letting off a missile to finally destroy the evil installations. That was the easiest way to do this, huh? Unlike the target practice mission, all of the missions only allow you to store 3 missiles at one time. However, bullets are unlimited on all missions. Good thing you read the instructions. Yes. I mean, they do, like, the funny thing is, like, you have to read this, and then we're gonna play the game, and then we're gonna cross-consult the manual to find out what was what. Sounds inscrutable in game. I mean, it's sufficiently inscrutable here. I feel like you can read these instructions and, like, well, I have a vague idea. Not only is it kind of tricky to memorize all this, but also how easy is it going to be to distinguish booby-trapped fuel barrels versus, oh, you must pick up fuel by driving over the fuel barrels. Alright, so some of them are going to be indispensable to not game overing instantly, and some of them will just kill us. We can also only have a maximum of 3 missiles, but we're given examples of about 8 things that need to be destroyed with missiles. CIA helicopters dropping missiles need to be visually distinguished somehow from enemy dive bombing helicopters. I guess that's how we distinguish them. If it's a helicopter, then you want to grab their missiles. But if it's a helicopter, then you dodge them. So, like, you must avoid mines and gum emplacements. I wonder if any of them are, we can shoot. It says avoid. Does that mean I should, or, like, obviously I'm reading a lot into this, but I feel like I have to. I have to scrut as much of this as I can. Inscrutable, unscrutable, or other kinds of scrutable levels that we may have here. Whatever it is, we're going to try to discern as much as we can from this. So, leaping off of a log into the air and letting off a missile. That means that when we see logs on the water, we can probably just drive into them and they're like a jump. Unless the game has, like, lethal booby-trapped death logs and only the one specific log right by the factory is jumpable. But yeah, this is a perfect example of what I was saying before. Even if we have infinite fuel, infinite lives, infinite missiles, this might be, you know, a Star Wars Death Star kind of thing where it's just you get the one shot and you have to do it correctly, and if you don't, then what? We might find out. But it's good to know that we have this to refer back to. And you know, it'll mention stuff like we can slide up the slopes to avoid obstacles, and there's close lock gates which need to be destroyed using missiles. To start the game, move the joystick or cursor keys to select the mission you want to undertake. There are 4 alternative missions. Target practice, North Pole training, Sahara Desert training, New Orleans mission. Okay, so I'm assuming... Okay. I'm assuming there's 3 there's practice, training, and training. So New Orleans, like, these are not the game's 4 levels. I take it that New Orleans is level 1. Because, yeah, they mentioned the Norwegian fjords, and was there something about the Middle East? Like, did I dream that? Whatever. No, it's just desert something or other. Whatever. They talk about Florida. So there's obviously locations outside of these 3. So I'm guessing those are locations for the other missions. I wasn't the... Hang on. Yeah, South American jungle missions, Norwegian fjords, and Middle East desert exercises. Okay, but what about... It says here... Is there a Middle Eastern desert exercise that is separate from the Sahara Desert training? Sahara Desert is not in the Middle East, in case you were not aware. This is getting more confusing by the minute, but that's the Amiga experience. All right, we got keyboard controls. Additional commands. Help. Pause on. Any keyboard or joystick use, pause off. Escape to abort. Yeah, exactly. Middle East, Sahara, Norwegian, North Pole, South American jungles, Louisiana, Bayou. It's all the same. Florida, New York. Yeah, I guess these specific, like the pause key is probably not the same on the Amiga, but that's fine. If we need to pause, we'll probably just do it through the emulator. Isn't the Sahara Desert growing? Maybe this was just really prescient. To the Middle East? I'm not sure. Not to my knowledge, but what do I know? Joystick controls. Accelerate, move left, move right to decelerate. Fire to shoot bullets. Pull back plus fire to shoot missiles. Mouse controls. This is splendid mouse illustration here. I feel like joystick controls is going to be the way to go. Like, technically, you might have some nice, smooth, like, analog control, sort of, with the mouse. But from my 20 seconds of trying out the game, I don't think that necessarily helps. I think it should be easy enough to just kind of try them out both. I think the way the game works is you can basically use both at the same time. So there's no like options or settings to change. I think you can just kind of use whichever's closest to you and see how it works. So maybe the mouse control works great, but I don't think it's necessarily going to be beneficial. Basically due to the game's like frame rate and speed, but we should be able to give it a shot. Yeah, it's a very, very good illustration. Good luck, 007. The world is counting on you. Oh, well, no pressure. Okay, that's it. So that is the manual for James Bond. Sorry. I almost got it wrong there. Ian Fleming's James Bond 007 in Live and Let Die, the computer game. That's the full title of the game. Well, guys. Oh yeah, let's also let's get the timer on screen there. There we go. Important timekeeping, which also, by the way, do I have a well, I'll just type this in chat so I can open the link myself here. Before I forget, bring up the official spreadsheet. And we can now set this current game status to mission status active. And it is today the 21st of November 2022. Mission start. We'll put a little color on this here for those of you who are looking at the spreadsheet. There we go. Now give me a few seconds to set up my Amiga computer. So I believe just do this, that should work. Play options seem to look all right. Let's get the disk. I guess we can use the trainer version because we still have the options to not use the trainer. We get a cool little Cracktro intro, so why not? So we should be able to do capture. Oh my god. Okay, hang on. Is this? Please, OBS. There we go. This is ultra loud. Let me fix this. Classic. I need to pull it down to like literally 2% volume in Windows. That looks about right. Yeah, we got some hacker jams. Band. Let me hydrate while we enjoy these jams for a minute or two. Last but not least, CCI. Hello, Master. I have no time to write the normal ones. They come in the next demo. You want to contact us for good reasons. Whatever. Let's get going. Cool as this is not why we're here. Nope. The band presents unlimited missiles. Nope. There we go. I had to click the right mouse button. Unlimited fuel. Nope. Secret third entry here. Start the game. I think the way this is set up, we'll still have some load times, which is fine. Get the authentic Amiga experience, which, you know what? Speaking of, that counts as game time. Ah, there we go. So, I think I can, yeah. So I can use my joystick here, but I think I can also use the mouse. Nope, I cannot. Okay, I thought I could. Maybe it's because I already... whatever, doesn't matter. I'd want to use the joystick anyway. Are audio levels good, or do I need to bump it up a tiny bit? cool music. Take more game auto. Yeah, it looks a little bit low. Let's bump it up from 2% to 4%. We got target practice, North Pole training, Sahara Desert training, New Orleans mission. I guess we don't have any levels in Asia, just given the layout of this map. So wait, oh no, okay, never mind. I was like, wait, hang on, it's the target practice. Wait, I can press any direction on the joystick and it just goes to the next. Kind of weird. Anyway, it's in the UK, I guess. Well, let's do some target practice. Oh, okay, no load time there, I guess. So we got the fuel gauge there in the middle. Oh, well, I hit something. Like seeing... Oh, that's a black one. Like... Aiming is kind of tricky. Like when anything is turning. Oh, I hit that, I guess. Oh, that's our missile ammo counter on the left. Oh, that's a rock. Like, the graphics look really nice. The scaling and movement is, like, smooth. But the turning makes it really difficult. And yeah, look at the fuel gauge now, also. Like, you're aiming off to the side when you're turning. I feel like I'm not going to hit anything with a missile. It's kind of hard to... Oh yeah, that's the sound when you hit a black target with bullet. Ugh. Like trying to sort of visually confirm that something's a missile target. The red and black targets just are not that visually distinct when things are like scaled and sliding across the screen pretty fast. I also don't know, like, does the fuel last longer if I'm going faster? So, like, going slow is meant to be... Oh, I hit that with a missile. That worked. Dude, like, when when the river's turning that far, like, it just... Everything is just off screen. You can't see anything. Out of fuel, okay. So does that mean... Game over? I was just about to say, that does that mean we completed... Okay, well... We made it to number 4. No! Rob end. I guess there's 4 digits so we can put bond. Is that the idea? Well, I just put this, I guess. Top secret. Oh, we got a title screen now. I don't think we did get that before. This implies 001 is the best agent of all time. He's number 1. Checks out as far as I'm concerned. Vision Factory and the Beyonders. Wait, hang on. What was that? Programmed by Martin Ward. Graphics by Pete Tattersall, Gary Tong, Steve Beverly, David Percival, Paul Walker. Music by Mark Cooksey. Designed by Bob Thomas and Peter Cook. Copyright Vision Factory and the Beyonders. Yeah, you want to guess 3 times what country this game was developed in? I just need to check real quick. Is it in fact the case that the... Let me pause the timer real quick. The Amiga version was not developed by Elite. Let me see if I can find any proper details here. What's up, itinerant soldier? How's Live and Let Die so far? Well, we just witnessed my first attempt at the first training level. It's very difficult to play. I'm just curious specifically about the Vision Factory. Like, what's that entity in the Beyonders? I'm curious. All the credits are here. I'm looking at Moby Games just like real quick. They have Elite as the developer for, I think, just about everything. Granted, like, some of the versions have the Elite logo like on the title screen, but this doesn't like have a big splash screen. Well, the C64 version, I'm just looking at a title screen that has all the same credits, basically. Dave Thomas, music by Mark Cooksey, designed by Bob Thomas and Peter Cook, and that's credited to Elite Systems. So I think that checks out. That just caught me off guard. Well, I guess some of the same credits, I should say. The art and everything is different staff here, but whatever. Anyway, I just wanted to see if I had something wrong. I just wanted to try to correct that as soon as possible. So we game overed. I wonder if that's like, I guess we need to try. We'll try all the training missions and everything. But I wonder if we, like, the target practice, the way the naming conventions of the missions and levels and everything makes it sound like that's a pretty different type of level than everything else. So I wonder if maybe that version specifically, or that stage specifically doesn't have like an ending. You just go, because I didn't see any, at least, fuel or missile refills. So maybe you just go as far as you're gonna go, and you get scored on like the accuracy. And the other, like, training missions are more like actual missions. You know what? Let's find out. Okay, but it does say leg 1. Well, maybe optimize. Oh, okay. Folks, thanks for the follow. Erlang Shen. Oh, that's a log, I think. I think we should be able to jump those. Oh. Yeah, that was pretty cool. Like, again, the graphics are pretty sick. And it doesn't control poorly. That's my fault. It's just slightly inscrutable. Mines, okay, checks out. Thought that was like foam. I guess it's like an ice flow. We're out of fuel. Do I lose fuel when I die? I was gonna say, I don't have lives, do I? Okay. They'll shoot. That missile somehow hit the mine. Okay. I guess, Itinerant Soldier, the other way to answer your question, how's Live and Let Die so far? Fairly impossible, it would seem. So, but I guess... Lucky there. Fuel essentially is our, like... Whoa! Lives. I didn't take a close look, but it could be, I guess, that you take a fuel penalty. Oh, gun placements. That's what that is. Sniped in midair, okay. Oh, wait, what? Okay, note to self. Fuel pickups are nigh indistinguishable from logs. Okay, those are barrels that are barely poking up over the surface. Okay, they're slightly... Oh, it's a missile refill. I missed it. Gate. I'm out of missiles. Okay. I missed the fuel, okay. Ah, okay, so that's a booby trap fuel. It's bright yellow. It's crashed into me, okay. Okay, we're scrooting this slowly but surely. Oh, we made it to leg 2. We did not make it to the top high scores, but we're learning. Norwegian commutes looking kind of hard. Well, I mean, hey, let's be clear. This is the North Pole. Maybe we're commuting to and from Norway, though. Looking forward to the serenity of the Norwegian fjords, though, I have to say. Okay, so that's a fuel... Yeah, so okay. I hadn't... Oh, wait, did I just shoot the fuel? I think I did. I wonder if you are supposed to /can jump a log to go midair to shoot a plane. Okay, we missed a bunch of barrels. Yeah, I don't know about the whole, like, fuel economy versus, like, maybe you don't want or need to go very fast. Like, obviously, getting fuel is going to be a bit of a priority, because even when you get shot, as far as I can tell, the worst thing that can happen is you lose time / fuel. I missed it. I didn't die. Well, in the same spot that I died last time. But, like, we're doing pretty good on fuel. But I also don't know how many legs this level is going to be, right? Nice, we got the missiles. Sound effects. I take it... Yeah, now we're in leg 2. Now we're gonna have fake fuels. Try to shoot it, didn't work. Or didn't hit it anyway. Nope. I could swear that I shot a real fuel tank before, but... I guess that isn't a thing. That sounded like something I needed to hit with a missile. Don't know what that would have been, though. Oh, okay. I thought that was like a height thing, but no. It just suddenly became much narrower. Okay, fair enough. At least it's easy enough to hit the mines. Oh, okay, that's a friendly... No, wait, what? It just exploded. Okay, thanks. Thanks for nothing, guys. Oh, dude, how sick was that? Out of fuel, but then... got fuel. Oh, fuck, I really needed to grab that. I didn't... Like, it's not easy to keep track of the fuel gauge. Okay. Yeah, you really cannot afford to miss much fuel. Okay, progress. But I feel like if we learn to complete a level like this, we could be making progress. Now... I guess we still only have one life? So, you'd have to complete however many missions there are in one go. And so far, we're incapable of even completing the training. But we are improving. I do feel like this is better and more valuable training than the target practice, though. Like, because, frankly, shooting stuff, it doesn't necessarily seem that vital. Like, yeah, obviously, we're gonna have a heroin factory that we're gonna need to shoot at the end or whatever. But in order to survive getting there, like, surprisingly, I have to say, the enemies aren't, like, super lethal. I feel like a game like this, I expect 8 billion things to come on screen constantly killing you. That hasn't really been the case for the most part. See, I'm going pretty slow here for getting shot, but that's also the first time I've gotten hit by any of this. So if you, like, go fast past the gunplay... Right. I start talking about how I don't get killed much, and then I get killed. Fucking hell, every 2 seconds, and I miss fuel. The collision stuff is, like, a little finicky. Okay, I need missiles. Nice. Get some fuel here. Oh, that was a real fuel tank. I want to say there's a real one at the end. See? I just shot it. It's so weird. Like, it seems like sometimes you can. Okay, they crashed into me. Oh, I guess these guys, maybe you have to missile. Because there was definitely a sound when I hit him with the bullet. Ah, I should have slowed down even further. Okay. Collision detection is a little finicky. Yeah, fuel is going to be a problem here real soon. I.e. right now. Hey, the missiles didn't explode on impact. But I'm still screwed. Because even if there's another gate, or set of gates, I should say. Okay, yeah, this is literally exactly like last time. Okay, I got that one this time. Can we survive to the next barrel is the question. Probably not, if I had to guess. Yeah, I'm... Ooh! Okay. I was just about to say I'm out of fuel. And I missed the next fuel. But it's nice to know after the Living Daylights that at least we have a game here that isn't, like, levels aren't random. You can at least kind of learn layouts. Okay, fuel, please. Okay, never mind. I was gonna say, if I go faster now, maybe I can coast further. But surely that has to have been pretty far, like, far into leg 2. What's up, Marquito? Yeah, we're already better than 007. We were, anyway. You know what? I can't be bothered. I don't know if the training levels or training missions are in, like, escalating order of difficulty or anything. We can go to the desert training, but I feel like I might as well keep doing this. Just sort of try to learn one level at a time. Okay. Keep missing fuel, it's not good. Obviously the fuel is a bit more... Game's a little more liberal with it in the beginning here. So, okay, yeah, I can pretty much top up the meter, so... Missing some fuel in the very beginning. Not a big deal. That one's tricky to get, but I can skip it. Oh, fuck, I was gonna say, alright, let's go fast to get put past the gun placements, but... Oh! Okay, now we're suddenly screwed, basically. Okay, ooh, that was kind of lucky. That's not. It's so hard to navigate when, like, the river's turning back and forth. These, like, S-turns constantly. Okay, we're good on fuel. Fuck, we're done. We're gonna die. So I don't have any more missiles. But at least it's not like you don't get stuck or anything. You take the penalty. I don't have any missiles. Oh, okay, no, I could bullet these guys. And the barrel. And I shot the fuel again. This is just a collision that made it seem... Yeah, they're gonna crash into me, of course they are. No regard whatsoever for their own lives. Which I guess is a quality you would expect from a Bond goon. Doing okay on fuel, not critical. Not great. Okay, we got the missiles. Fuel, please. Nice. Gonna be more gun placements here, I think. Nice. Okay, somehow got that. Okay. Well, I just got full missiles, so want to avoid the mines. Oh, there we go. Gum placements. Okay, I hear a helicopter. Okay. Friend. Fuel, please. Dude, this is fucking intense. Oh, I missed the fuel. Oh no, here's a slope. Okay, I missed another fuel. And we're out of fuel. Fucking hell, the fuel's like literally on the other side of the river. Oh, nice. Ah, I knew it. I knew I'd crash into something there. Okay, we're about to run out of fuel again. Missed it. Submarines? Jesus Christ. These levels go on for pretty fucking long. Oh, yeah, look at the scores. Like, 60,000. Oh, I'm like exhausted. I mean, it could be that a stage is 3 legs. Could be 5. Who knows, you know? But each definitely gets harder, because, like, after the first leg, I feel like you can barely afford to miss a fuel tank or barrel. And there's still a kind of hard to make out. But I feel like if you were to attempt beating this game legitimately, it would really come down to memorizing the levels. Hey, what's up, Sharpie? It's motorboat tech. Yeah, well, as the manual says, you need a lot of skill and a little bit of luck to get through this. Sounds like an accurate assessment. You need the collision gods on your side. Case in point, I just threw a fuel barrel there. But again, early days here. The game's actually pretty generous. But it's shocking, even the fact that you don't have lives. Unless that's a training mission thing. But the trainer didn't give us the option for infinite lives, so I'm assuming that lives isn't a factor. It's just a matter of potentially taking a slight fuel penalty, or otherwise just stopping, basically. Oh, dude, I keep hitting diagonals when I turn, because I hit down to slow down when I turn, and if I have to shoot while I'm turning, then I press down and fire, which shoots a missile. So I don't think we get another missile refill before the gate. Okay, I completely misjudged my speed. But, I mean, yeah, look at the fuel bar. We're fine. Oh, no, here's the missile. These ones are a little bit tricky to collect. There we go. Shooting stuff. Pretty satisfying. There's a real fuel at the beginning and end of this. Well, not end exactly, because these guys are still around, but... Dude! Legend. Oh, well, I didn't die there for once. Alright, that was just greedy. I wanted to get the mine, and I got killed instead. And now we're running out of fuel because of that. So from here on out, like, fuel is scarce. Oh, wasn't ready to hit that. Even just seeing full width on the river, like, on screen, when you're turning is pretty tricky. Okay, I actually basically topped up fuel here. Oh! I was gonna say I don't need to worry about that because I have full missiles, but I accidentally picked it up anyway. Okay. Bad kind of death to take, but okay, at this point, I want to get some fuel. Is that an evil helicopter? I think it might be. Dude! How did the missile not come out? And now I'm out of fuel. Fucking hell. I was completely ready for the door, and I pressed down and shot, and just didn't come out. Ooh, great placement, thanks. Out of fuel! Dude! I think that's a fuel barrel right on the horizon. Hey, what's up, Hippo? We're gonna see these old PC exclusive action games being played. Yeah, there's a good handful of these for Bond. Oh, that wasn't... Well, I feel like we did... I think like we did at least the first half of Leg 2 better there. And then things went south. Or went north, maybe, I don't know. Try again. I will say that, like, nothing about this makes me think of Live and Let Die. Again, I mean, I guess the Arctic setting for this level doesn't help. But on its own merit, like, it's a pretty cool game. Like, for something like this, on the Amiga, it could easily have looked and played a lot worse than this. Even the difficulty seems unexpectedly sort of civilized, to be perfectly honest. Like, even though, yeah, okay, I can't make it through what's essentially the tutorial, but the way in which I am failing or succeeding is still, like, it still feels reasonably fair, or at the very least, learnable. Okay, so I'm already missing a lot of fuel here. I'm gonna have to make up. I have missiles, at least. Oh boy, slow down. Okay. Like, the controls are surprisingly responsive. Even though things are a little bit kind of jerky, I guess it's like 25 FPS. It's like half frame rate in PAL. Like, pretty responsive. Okay, let's get this first fuel barrel. There we go. Nice. If I just stick to the side... Yeah, I'll not have that boat crash into me. Oh! Okay, well, I can see the fuel there at least. You know, that worked out. I can't really keep track of the fuel meter, like, as I'm driving. It's a little bit tricky to have a sense of whether, like, my throttle has any impact on fuel consumption or anything like that. I'm just trying my best to avoid obstacles and picking up fuel barrels. Anything else is gravy. Looks like we're having a pretty good run so far, though. Like, given how far we're into it and what our fuel status is like. Okay, I wanted that barrel, but at least I avoided death. Okay, I really did not need that, but I didn't die, so... Also, by the way, I cannot really read chat while I'm doing this, as it's very intense. Honestly, there's oil on the left, or fuel, and then there's the narrow part. Is that what's coming up here? Maybe... Nope, we're way past that. Hate that they put the gate, like, in the turn, so you can't see it. I guess that's why they do... Yeah, fuel... Holy shit, there's such a long section with no fuel. Of course. There's fuel on the far left here later on. Well, not that much later. I guess going up, like, skidding on the ground is kind of like something that happens in the movie. It doesn't really play out like that. Oh, I wanted that barrel. Wait, did we... I think we got this far before. I thought we were, like... BB, basically. But I don't think we were. Okay. I don't know. This is exactly where we game over, because we saw the first submarines, or whatever the fuck that... Well, that's a submarine. Probably should have missiled that, but... We just drive past it. That works too, I guess. Fuel. Fuel. Like, I care about the fuel and nothing else. Do the mines and the fuel, like, use the same colors? Well, I'm full on missiles anyway, so that's fine. I mean, dying is not fine, but... Not picking up the missiles is okay. Oh, the fuel, and I just missed it. God dang it. Oh, boy. Let me catch up with chat. According to Martin Ward's site, this was not a 007 game until after it was completed. It started out named Aqua Blast and was even released in the US under that name. Interesting. Live and Let Die wasn't about Bond driving a boat down a river for about 10 minutes. Yeah, they're, very briefly it is, but not in the North Pole. Yeah, there's like nothing. Yeah, they put little 007 logos here and there. We discussed this earlier, that it, like, this certainly looks like it, like, given how little it actually takes from the film, you know, this was not something that was like, you know, we have to figure out how to make a, game out of this film that's coming out that we don't know exactly what's in the film and whatever. No, this was a 15-year-old movie when the game came out. But I guess it's like, you know, Domark had the Bond license, I guess. So it's like, well, how can we, you know, instead of calling it James Bond boat racing, like, well, you know, there was this one film that had a scene with speedboats. Let's put that name on it. So that checks out, I guess. Oh. The stages are long enough that, like, it even, like, it feels bad just trying this over and over. Like, we are making, I don't want to call it steady improvements, but some improvements to our results here, even though I kind of feel like there's no guarantee at this point that additional attempts will lead to more success, but I would really like to find out where the level ends. Obviously, again, like, we're totally free to try the other training mission or go to the first real mission. There's nothing to suggest that we ever need to complete this. But it does kind of feel like if we're unable to complete this training level, it seems a little naive to assume the actual real missions are going to be any easier. Then again, does learning how to beat this level realistically improve our chances of completing the real mission? Like, to a degree, yes, of course, we can just, you know, we can learn how the game works and learn to recognize submarines and gates and what have you. Was that not a fuel barrel that I drove into? Okay, well, maybe I got confused. Well, I definitely got confused, but... Oh, I hate that part. Okay, now we're bad with fuel again. But ultimately, you know, clearing stages seems to come down mostly to memorizing the layouts. Also, I'm pretty screwed right now. I missed... Dude, I missed like 3 fuel barrels. It certainly does seem like dying is pretty harsh. I mean, that's a quote. I mean that, like, if you die a lot, your fuel will last you significantly shorter. So yes, fuel is the priority. But actually staying alive makes a big difference. Does Sheriff J.W. Pepper show up in the game? Well, does James Bond show up in the game? Seems questionable. Dr. Kananga is mentioned in the manual, but presumably we will not see him either. So I'm gonna say odds are low that J.W. Pepper is gonna show up. But I guess we'll see. In fact, are we even gonna... I mean, I guess somewhere New Orleans was mentioned or whatever, right? So I guess we would be in his neck of the woods at some point. Oh, there we go. Nope. Well, see, look at the fuel meter. I guess it's still worth it. I guess it's just like more... like, obviously, you wouldn't equate distance traveled with X amount of fuel consumed. Because then it would be kind of pointless. But maybe, well, not pointless, but maybe like accelerating from a standstill is like more expensive or whatever. So that's kind of how it checks out. Kind of how it feels. Because like just looking at the fuel meter, it's not like you die and then... Oh, that was... I thought that was a boat. That's pretty bad. Still early enough that... I wanted to avoid shooting to not shoot this barrel. We could hypothetically still turn this around. Okay. Again, I hate that part. And that's going to be the last fuel for a while. I hate that part because I never kind of remember... I'm never ready for it. Shit. Missing that missile box is pretty bad. Well... I'm not exactly assuming that I'll survive long enough for the missed missiles to matter. Okay, maybe. Every time I see that barrel so late, and then I panic to try and get it. And either I get it and crash, or I have to avoid crashing, and I just end up not getting it. Or, like this time, both. Well, we're done. We're not getting any further than this. I just, like, desperately want to not have to start taking notes and writing down something, because I won't be able to reference it while playing anyway, I guess. What's up, Swordfam? A live stream and let die. Yep. If I remember correctly, does the boat scene not take place in the Louisiana Bayou? That is correct, yes. The film mostly takes place in San Monique, the Caribbean island, and I guess, well, sizable chunk of it is in New Orleans. There's a bit in New York. We watched it on Discord on Saturday, and I thought it was an interesting film. I've seen it, of course, but a million years ago, so I didn't really remember much of it. But it's interesting because even though it's sort of globe-trotting, as you would expect from a Bond movie, all of the locations are very closely tied together with the plot, and you always have this kind of Caribbean voodoo element present. And/or like some of the key characters that are connected to this island and whatever. So a lot of that vibe and atmosphere kind of comes through in a lot of the movie. So it feels like that atmosphere is kind of that's the cool part of the movie. It doesn't have a lot of action. It doesn't like, the plot is kind of, it's fine, perfunctory, and at the end, like, it doesn't really matter that much. But it's got such amazing like villains and characters, like in all of the actual voodoo stuff. Like Baron Samedi is like such an amazing character, and Teehee is like the sickest henchman. Like it's a cool film. But of course, like if you wanted to just capture the atmosphere of the movie, that is the part that you would want to capture, right? But that's like not really on display in the game. Yeah, I'm currently just using whatever USB controller I had on hand. The game supports mouse control. I mean, I'm glad I don't have an Amiga joystick or equivalent, because I'm sure it would be 10 times more difficult. But even back then, if I was playing this on an Amiga, I'd probably be using a Mega Drive controller anyway. Bond can't even have a leisurely ride down a river without getting shot at? Yeah, right? United. Yeah, the New York part is really cool, because you get that, like, yeah, that, like, seedy 70s New York, and he, like, goes to Harlem. Like, that part's, like, definitely cool and interesting for different reasons. But again, even that part is, like, it doesn't feel like, not to say that Bond movies typically feel very disjointed, but sometimes it kind of feels like you have these like very clear sort of chapters of a film with totally different settings. Like in Live and Let Die, I feel like it'd be hard for me to remember exactly where certain scenes take place, because it's also embedded in that, like, a lot of the same characters are there for the whole movie, kind of, and I don't know, it's just cool. The ending was definitely a bit weak. Well, the very final shot of the movie is fucking amazing, but how the story kind of wraps up and how the big villain meets his demise is very underwhelming, I guess. Kind of goofy. But I enjoyed it. It was fun because we watched A View to a Kill a couple of weeks ago. So that was Roger Moore's final Bond movie, and Live and Let Die was his first one. And yeah, they were 12 years apart. But yeah, those 12 years sure made a difference. He comes across so differently. I guess another thing that makes me like feel overall that Live and Let Die was like an entertaining movie. The whole like romance plot feels like really kind of icky. Obviously, many Bond films have very kind of, certainly the older ones, like very questionable kind of, you know, gender roles and all that kind of stuff. And, you know, Bond's like inhuman levels of seductive powers is like played almost to the point of parody, like in several Bond films. But even compared to a lot of the other ones we watched, I mean, yeah, there's shit in like Goldfinger where and I guess kind of in A View to a Kill too. It certainly in the games it was played out the same way, but like where women who like legitimately have no attraction to or interest in Bond like get into a physical altercation with him where he like physically overpowers them and pins them to the ground and like forces himself upon them, and they like all in love with him. Like that's pretty icky to say the least. And what happens in Live and Let Die is maybe not quite so overtly like fucking weird, but there's still not really an obvious reason for the like whatever happens in Live and Let Die is not that different from that, but it sort of plays out over the course of the entire movie. It's not something that happens in like one scene. So the fact that the main girl, you know, it's sort of implied in the story that he kind of frees her from essentially some form of slavery, right? Or like she clearly has no autonomy in her situation. She's like held captive basically by Kananga, and it's actually a plot point that she has sex with Bond, and that makes her lose her magic powers. And Kananga has like essentially a what's the word? Like a breakdown of some sort, like where he, you know, not only is he pissed that she lost her magic powers of like what's the word? Being a psychic or whatever. He's also, it seems, equally upset that whenever she was gonna have sex and not be a virgin anymore, and through that, for whatever reason, lose her magic powers, that it wasn't with him. And like, it's very, I don't know, that whole, obviously, I mean, he's a villain, he's a bad guy, so like that's it's fine for him as a character to have this completely fucked up weird slavery cult thing going on. Like, sure, that's a good villain. But for Bond to then come into that situation and sort of rescue her from that, sure, that's good. But he doesn't like, I mean, he does that by means of essentially tricking her into having sex with him. And then at the end of the movie, they kind of, you know, go off in the sunset as this romantic couple. Like, it would seem at the very least ill-advised, frowned upon. I don't know, like, it seems like there's a kind of power dynamic at play there that makes it sort of, her ability to have full like consent in that situation doesn't seem quite there. There's like stuff like that makes the the kind of romance subplot of Live and Let Die not that comfortable. But hey, you know, it's a 50-year-old movie, so obviously there's going to be some stuff that doesn't feel right in our eyes. But having said that, you know, Roger Moore is at least more convincing as a, you know, seductive playboy than he was in A View to a Kill. I'll give it that much. What is up, Atomic Runner? Well, you've missed 48 minutes of us failing to complete the tutorial training level, so we're certainly not done with this game, not by a long shot. Yeah, Sanger, I'm sure that's like, you know, I'm sure Live and Let Die is not singularly unique in that regard. Like I said, Goldfinger had some very questionable stuff as well, of course. But again, I think the reason why it stands out to me more in Live and Let Die is that it's more closely tied to the plot of the film, and that it's a more central kind of component. Whereas in some of the other films, you can kind of isolate those parts and say, okay, that's a bit iffy, and kind of, I don't know, disassociated from the rest and whatever. But like I said, you know, it doesn't sour the entire movie for me as such, like a little bit, I guess, but I can still isolate and enjoy the cool parts of the film. But even so, I still felt that, like, it was okay, it was decent. But out of the ones we've watched, which are A View to a Kill, Goldfinger, The Living Daylights, and Live and Let Die, Goldfinger is easily my favorite. I would say I would probably put The Living Daylights over Live and Let Die. And A View to a Kill, I have a childhood nostalgia attachment to that film, but it's pretty mediocre as well. But all of them have at least some, like, neat aspect. Frankly, like, I might even put Live and Let Die at the bottom of those four. But it's kind of, I don't know. Maybe we'll do a ranking at some point when we watch more of them. Real Amiga experience, yeah, essentially. Anyway, let's try the North Pole training and see if we can do a little bit better. Collision. Missing barrels here in the very early stages. It's okay, we can make... At some point we can make up for it, but not if I keep missing all of them. Yeah, this is pretty bad. Dude! Fucking Harlem Globetrotters over here doing the fanciest tricks to avoid every single pickup. Alright, okay, so let me just try something. Okay, good to know. There's a little research there. You cannot drive into the side and die from that. Yeah, I don't think we can really recover this amount of fuel. I mean, certainly not if we're going to keep dying. Whatever. That means we might also just restart faster. Or maybe we do miraculously recover. Who the hell knows? I guess I might as well keep going so we get a little bit of practice out of it. I guess I should always try to get the missile drops, if only to practice. Okay, this must be where you get the fuel on the far left. Before, yeah, okay, good. I was able to recognize the situation. It's after the booby-trapped fuel barrels. But even knowing that it was coming up, it was still pretty tough. I want to say here there's like a big gap before. Dude, I can't turn. Oh my god. I was gonna say, like, there's a long distance before there's more fuel. And that is accurate. It's that too. But again, I didn't think I would survive this far. So I'll die. I don't think there's another missile before the gate. Another missile refill, I mean. Alright, well, I guess that kind of worked out. Oh, okay. Please don't drop that on a mine. Hey. As soon as I see a gun placement, I just go max speed. I wonder if you could jump outside, like out into the, like on land. Well, we're dead now anyway. Yeah. Well, for how disastrously that started, we still made it to like 3. So, yeah, we got a low score for sure because we didn't. I didn't, like, hit anything, I guess. But yeah, so you have you don't have lives, which is like shockingly generous for an Amiga game. Unless it changes in the actual real missions, but I doubt it. Oh. But you do have to watch your fuel. Like, they didn't really send Bond in with very sufficient resources, did they? But yes, as was previously mentioned, there's one speedboat action scene in the film Live and Let Die. Is why they, I guess, patched the license to this otherwise completely unrelated game. But in the plot of the game, traveling around the world to various exotic locations, do training exercises. For the eventual Florida mission, I guess. What it said. You're gonna just destroy Mr. Big / Kananga's heroin factory in Florida. But I guess it also sounded like every level... Fuck, I missed it. Oh, so I wonder if these are the, like... These boats that drop the barrels maybe have to be destroyed with a missile. And navigating that part to get the barrel on the left there is really tricky. The manual made it sound like every mission is going to have a factory at the end. I think. I don't recall exactly what it said. There's one more barrel on the left here. Not there. Gun placement soon, probably. Oh, I fucking missed it. That's the one I was thinking of, and I got killed. Okay. Yep, we're... I don't give a shit about that. Done. Yes, this is a boat racing shooting game. Not racing, really, is it? Boat driving. Yeah, there's the gun placements. Okay, I kind of had that sequence wrong. Yeah, that was a poor attempt. So yeah, when the game starts, you have the option of 4 choices here. The target practice, North Pole training, Sahara Desert training, and New Orleans missions. That's the first, like, real mission. Yeah, it's a race for the fuel tank. I mean, I guess in the film, there's a part where he like, his boat gets shot at, and his fuel is leaking. Maybe that's what we're simulating here. That's why our fuel is depleting so rapidly. So I'm assuming that the training levels have no bearing on any kind of progression. I bet if I complete the level, it's still, like, essentially a game over, and we're brought back to the menu. Because, like, what would... I mean, I guess your score maybe carries over. But the target practice had its own leaderboard. I didn't really pay attention to see if the score was, like, unique to this training mission, or if it's just, like... But the menu, the manual mentions several locations not seen in this list, like Norway and the Middle East. So, presumably in Florida, presumably we do the New Orleans mission, and then we advance to, like, the Norway mission, the Middle East mission, and then Florida. I hope there's not more than that. But given the fact that we, like, game over, there's not, like, multiple attempts or anything, I'm gonna have to assume that that's the same for the real missions. So presumably you have to make it through multiple missions. Without running out of fuel. God damn it! Sometimes the hitbox for collecting stuff feels like really generous, and then other times, it does not. Well, they're like more than 50%. Should hopefully be able to get both of these. Okay. Someone hit me from behind, I guess. Okay, I want to stay on the left here. See if I can figure this shit out. Slow down, maybe. Like, whenever you're in a turn, things move in such a peculiar way that it's really difficult to, like, even make sort of tiny adjustments to your position. I didn't need to do that. I needed missiles at some point. So I guess it's like the craziest idea to try to grab that, but I could maybe have waited for the other missile drop and hope that it was more advantageous. But at least now I have the luxury of not having to care. There's another one. I was gonna say, yeah, the middle one, and then there's on the left. I kind of remembered now. Guns. Well, we haven't had fuel in a while. Okay, meter's actually pretty decently stocked, but we're getting close to half, so this flows. Oh, for fuck's sake! And now we're dangerously low on fuel. And there's not fuel for a bit here, I want to say. Well, it's one of those. Oh my god. Okay. That's such a dick move. Putting that fuel in the far left. I was ready for it because I was like, yeah, you go over the first thing and then there's fuel. But I was still like, I was going too fast, so I ended up spending too much time on the bank to get down in time to grab it. Oof. Man. Game spawn leaking gallons of fuel into the Arctic River, destroying swaths of natural habitat. Yep, sounds about right. Yeah, the color, like, even so, like, once I learned what the barrels were, because at the very beginning, I was getting the fuel barrels and the logs mixed up, because they have the same shape. And it took me a few attempts to even get far enough for the fake barrels to be a thing. And then it's like, oh, okay, yeah, these are more easily distinguishable. But honestly, I kind of wish it was the opposite. You know, what if the actual real barrels were bright green? That way they'd stand out. And you could have the fake barrels be black and look like mines and logs. I'd prefer that, I guess. That's always going to be an annoying thing, right? Like, you're aligned with something such that you will crash into it, but you're not aligned with it well enough to hit it if you're shooting. Like, yes, of course, the boat is wider than the projectile, but it's still annoying. Oh, okay, I could have easily gotten hit there. But again, for all the complaints I might have about the controls, dude, for like 1988 on an Amiga, like how smooth this is and how well it controls, and like there's not a ton of slowdown or anything, like, and I have this set up to emulate an Amiga 500. I obviously don't know if it's like perfectly faithful in terms of the levels of performance you get or anything, but I have no reason to suspect that it wouldn't run like this. It's not like some amazing miracle, maybe, but, you know, still pretty cool. Okay, get past this section. Stay on the left. Slow down. Nice. All right. Dude, anything that happens in, like, the middle of a curve, so dicey. I don't know if I'm incentivized to go any faster than this, for the most part. It really does seem like the gun placements, they're the one obstacle that kind of requires you to go fast. Or, I mean, technically, I'm sure it doesn't require you, because they do fire projectiles that are on screen, and hypothetically are dodgeable. But it would seem that your best bet at dodging them, or at least the most consistently, you know, effective way, is to just go fast. Speaking of which, are they coming up here? I feel like I always say, oh, gun emplacements, and then it never is. But hey, where's the one? Yeah, here we go. Like, whenever they lob those bullets, just stay relatively close. Like, they don't lob them at a set distance. But if you kind of trigger them to shoot... Dude, my fucking fuel! Like, I was like, dude, I'm doing so well. And then it's like, well, yep, but I'm still running out of fucking fuel. How do you, like... I guess you maybe do have to go fast. Oh, I shot the fuel. Fuck's sake. It looked like a boat.
Unspeakable horror awaits you.
Alright, thank you, whoever that is. I'll look away in a second. Out of fuel. Yeah, I didn't even get to the fucking submarines. Jesus Christ. Base Hole has subscribed for 22 months of unspeakable horror. Thank you very much for that. You're welcome, whoever that is. Oh, this is intense. And yes, you can shoot anything, I guess. Except sometimes it doesn't, like, because I shot the fuel. And then another time, I didn't. And then, like, I tried to shoot the fake fuel, and it didn't work. And then it did work the next time. So I think you can shoot it. You can definitely shoot the ammo drops, because I did that as well. But yeah, it's like, I didn't need to put that in. But that's okay, like... Dude, that's still kind of fucked. Like, it doesn't matter if you have good fuel... Much to that point. I mean, I guess it could be that, like, if you go faster, it uses less fuel or whatever, which I don't know if that makes any logical sense, but maybe it does. I don't know anything about boating. Man. Yeah, I felt like once we had that decent run of getting, like, pretty far into leg 3, that it's like, well, at this point, trying multiple times is not likely to yield better results, and indeed, that's how that has worked out. Like, we never gotten that far again. And that was like the first attempt that made it decently far into, like, getting past the banks on leg 3. I need to take a short break. When I return, I guess we'll take a look at the other missions. So, we do have a trainer, so we can play this with infinite fuel and infinite missiles. And I'm happy that we have that option in order to see the entirety of the game. But there's still so much to even try out and explore that I'm not eager to jump into that now. I consider that sort of a last resort. But I'm also realistically thinking that we're absolutely going to have to do that. Like, I will not have the patience to learn how to beat the game, because even if we assume that this level of difficulty is not lower than what other stages will be, assuming that every level is equivalent to this, hell, let's even say that this is the hardest level in the game, I can't beat it, and that's after several attempts, or I have not beaten it yet. You know, if I have to beat at least, like, again, as far as we can tell from the manual in the back of the box, there's New Orleans, Norway, Middle East, and Florida. Maybe there's more than that. Maybe there's 5 missions. Maybe there's 8 missions, but let's say it's 4. Doing any 4 levels on 1 life, assuming that's what we're gonna have to do. That's gonna be a tall order. Base Hole has bestowed 1,000 barbarian bits upon the stream. Thank you very much for that. I am greatly appreciative of that generosity. It brings us 1,000 bits closer to the Q branch research funding goal as well. Well, like I said, I need to take a short break. We'll get some other jams going here. I will come back in a couple of minutes, and maybe we'll give the North Pole trading another run. But I'm actually eager to take a look at Sahara trading mission, and before tonight's over, we're definitely gonna at least try the New Orleans mission. But yes, it seems fairly obvious at this point that we're gonna have to continue this on Wednesday. I was thinking maybe we'd finish this playthrough, or like the Amiga version tonight, and on Wednesday we'd look at the other versions. But we might have another stream's worth of challenging the Amiga version. We'll see. Yeah, the Barbarian bit alert is for 500 bits and above, I believe. You can scroll down on the page, you'll have a little list of the various bit alert levels. Anyway, I've been trying to go on break for several minutes now. I'll see you guys in a bit. All right, I returned. Now, before we dive back in, get the back here. Let's do a quick status check here for those who may just have been joining the stream. Let's see here. Boom. With the latest contributions to the Q Branch Research Fund, we are now up to 6,750 of our goal of 20,000, upon which we will be we will have received all the necessary funding for the research and development of the technology required to access the first several secret bonus missions. I'm pretty excited. Well, I'm a little bit nervous because I know that even the first one or two, I haven't exactly figured out how to run them just yet. I need to do a little bit of research. I might need to find someone to assist me with some highly specific knowledge on how to get certain obscure ancient shit to run. But we'll see. We got plenty of time. But yes, we have the official game list of 50 games, but we do have several secret bonus missions to be tackled at regular, I suppose, intervals throughout the game's Bond journey. And the first of which we will do when we reach 20,000 Q bucks, whatever. That sounds like a fucking cryptocurrency or something. That's not what I meant. You know what I mean. When we reach the goal. How about that? We are currently, of course, in the midst of mission number 6. Ian Fleming's James Bond 007 in Live and Let Die, the computer game. Delightful mouthful of a title. Credits. Yeah, it's pretty good. It's pretty good. I like that. This game does have several other versions, which appear to mostly be based on the Amiga game. From what I've seen, they look very, very similar, albeit, of course, tailored to each system's respective video and audio capabilities. I think the one I'm the most excited for after this is easily the Commodore 64 version. I expect the ST version to mostly be the same, but uglier and maybe running worse. But the C64 one, I'm betting, is going to be... gonna have different music, which could be really great. It could be terrible, I don't know. But I guess the CPC and Spectrum versions, like, you never know. Sometimes those versions are really cool, too. Guessing pretty rough on the Spectrum. That's a fair guess, you know. I wouldn't necessarily expect otherwise. But I've played enough of these weird old computer things to never, like... never make too much of an assumption. Like, yeah, I would find it highly unlikely for the Spectrum version to be, like, more playable than the Amiga version of just about any game, but especially something like this where the Amiga version is kind of surprisingly smooth and playable. But we've done stuff like, I don't know, like Double Dragon and Final Fight and stuff like that, where I'm not saying the Spectrum versions of those were amazing or anything, but sometimes when you have a game that's ported to like 8 different systems or, you know, computers, the one you would like, it's easy to think of the Spectrum as like the least capable computer system for like action games and stuff. But we played well, I guess it was now I can't recall. Double Dragon 2, I think we played the MSX version, which was like basically a Spectrum port, but it ran at like a higher speed because it was on like whatever system I had set up for the emulation. Like MSX is kind of tricky that way, of course, right? Because it's got so many different hardware configurations that can give you vastly different levels of performance. I guess that's arguably somewhat true of Spectrum as well, because there was different models. Anyway, I don't know much, but there was a version that was like really fun. It was really simple, but it worked out like really well, and it was interesting. It was interesting, and even when they're not like good, or when they're, you know, on the whole, not the most playable or interesting or fun, or pleasant versions, they could still have some specific aspect that was like really interesting and cool. So it's definitely worth taking a look at all these versions, if nothing else. Curious to see the Specky exclusives. Yeah. I was stunned to learn that there was a Spectrum light gun with two, like, bundled with 2 James Bond light gun games. I still need to do some research and digging to see if we can find that Desmond Llewellyn audio cassette that came with the game. I wonder if it was on the B side of the tape or something. Stuff like this is like fairly well documented for the most part. And apparently this was like a very popular bundle, which doesn't surprise me. So if you do a little digging, I wouldn't be surprised if you can just find that recording. If I can, we should definitely take a listen to it on stream. It would be interesting. Yeah, currently the spreadsheet, of course, you have the information there of the list of games and everything. But as you can see, I've got, you know, the cover art and some other info and stuff for all these games coming up. So I would definitely like putting all of this stuff easily available so anyone can kind of get hyped for everything coming up. But it's a lot of work and I haven't gotten around to it. So maybe one day. Oh no, the stealth affair. Yeah, I've been told this is it's very much a Delphine game with all that entails, I suppose. I remember a friend of mine had that as a kid. Of course, he had the European version that didn't have the Bond branding, but because it's technically released as a James Bond game, even though it wasn't one originally, we're gonna play it. And, you know, apparently that was literally the case for this game right here as well. This was developed as a completely separate thing. It had the Bond license slapped onto it, but apparently only for the European release. It was released, it was mentioned in chat. What was it called? Aqua Blast? And it was apparently released under that title in America, which is interesting. But yeah, the stealth affair, from what I've been told, I've seen like tiny bits and pieces. I was like scrubbing through some video to get some footage of it to put in the trailer I made for James Bond and everything. The Delphine style like looks really cool, and I kind of like the interface. And it seems very interesting in that it's this kind of very linear game, which has these kind of little set piece scenarios. But it feels actually, just from my superficial impression of it, a little bit similar to the Angelsoft text adventures, which were also like extremely limited in what you can do. They're not very open-ended, yet at the same time they're like so extremely specific in what you need to do and how you need to do it that they still end up being really challenging in a oftentimes pretty frustrating way. We actually did manage to get through A View to a Kill with only a very small amount of fairly light hints. So ultimately it wasn't too bad. I had a better time, I think, with View to a Kill than I did with Goldfinger. I remember the interface and translation being poor. I could see that. But yeah, I mean, honestly, for the entire first dozen games or so, we're in fairly uncivilized territory. And I would say it's not really until we hit like GoldenEye or so that I feel like we're going to be at a point where the games generally are going to be a matter of patience as opposed to, you know, skill or pain threshold. I don't know. Like, you could argue that a game like this is a matter of patience, that you could sort of grind your way through it. But a lot of the times, you know, like the Living Daylights was just so, the final levels of it, or all of the levels in some of the versions, were just so fucking hard that it's like, it feels pointless to bang your head against the wall. Some people are built, you know, for that. I'm not. And basically anything in this, like the microcomputer phase, any game that is finishable, like humanly finishable at all under almost any circumstance, I'll take as a bonus. I'm not setting out to beat every Bond game. I'm setting out to explore every Bond game, seeing what they are like, seeing, you know, how they do things, and to the best of my ability, experiencing them from beginning to end. If I'm not, like, capable of getting through the game, I would rather use trainers or cheats or passwords or hints or whatever it takes to at least see them and experience them than to, like, beat them legitimately, you know, as if it was the last thing I did. Because honestly, if I had that approach to Batman games, I feel like we would still be on the first Batman game on the CPC like 4 years later, right? Because there were some pretty impossible games in the Batman lineup too. So I'm kind of going into this with the expectation that a lot of these early games, a lot of these computer games, they're going to be very rough. They're going to be unfair. And I will have a better time with this if I focus more on checking them out, experiencing them under kind of my own conditions, as opposed to committing to learning how to beat them legitimately. Because frankly, that's not how I would have played these games as a kid anyway. You know, if I was playing Live and Let Die on the Amiga as a kid, which to my knowledge I never did. I can't remember ever playing this. Dude, I would have fucking used the trainer a lot sooner than I have. I wouldn't be nearly as patient as I am now with trying to practice it and play properly. I'd use the trainer first thing, probably, and just play through it like that once and say, hey, this was cool, and then move on to something else, because that's how we did it. Like, you know, I had maybe one friend who actually had a bunch of proper boxed retail games, but for the most part, people who had Amigas, you know, they had these giant floppy cases with dozens and dozens, if not hundreds of games. And you just play game after game after game, and then you trade games or, you know, borrow them from someone else who had one. And that's just what the Amiga experience was like, frankly. So I'm not gonna allow myself to feel bad about engaging with these games how I see fit. Yeah, I played a little bit of the Game Boy game when it came out. I remember liking it or thinking it was pretty cool. So that's definitely one I'm really looking forward to. But after that point, honestly, there's quite a few... Well, that's a bad way of phrasing it. There are only a few. There's a small handful of Bond games that I've actually played. The console version of Nightfire I had when it was relatively new, or at least current. And I remember really, really liking that game. But that's really the only like 3D Bond game I have significant experience with. I mean, I've dabbled in GoldenEye. I've played bits and pieces here and there, but I never played it properly from start to finish. And anything other than that on the like the PS1, N64, PS2, or PC, I think I've spent some total of like 5 minutes on here and there. So there's going to be a lot of stuff. I mean, in general, I had the Duel for the Mega Drive as a kid, and I played GoldenEye here and there. I played Nightfire. And yeah, like I said, I played a little bit of the Game Boy one, but that's pretty much it. So like I'm going in blind for most of these games. And there's definitely a handful that I'm very excited for. But the Game Boy one, I think, is one of those games that it's not necessarily a game a lot of people talk about, but people who have played it, a lot of them remember it fondly and like are happy to kind of bring it up as this sort of hidden gem. What's up, Carl? Yeah, I mean, the N64, the C64 and the Amiga experience is very much similar in that regard, for sure. Can't wait for the Slovak point-and-click game. Yeah, that one was quite a doozy discovering that. It's some might argue that it's not really necessarily like deserving of being on the official game list and whatever, but I say fuck it. It's a Bond game and it's really interesting and cool. So that one seems like it's going to be extremely impossible to comprehend without a guide, because even watching, I didn't watch through it fully, but I saw that there was a playthrough video on YouTube. Like the game, nothing of what happens in the game when you pick menu options or whatever makes any amount of sense. Like, you cannot comprehend what is happening in the game as it's happening on screen. So I feel like you kind of need the guide, not to tell you what to do, well, that also, but you kind of need the guide to narrate what is happening. It's like one of those games where you watch a playthrough, and then, like, you would still need the walkthrough to read along to understand what the hell is happening on screen. It's but it's gonna be interesting. Luckily, there are walkthroughs and playthrough videos available, so we should be able to see the game. I just don't know that we will, even upon finishing it, have understood much of what it happened. You know, much of what it was about. Anyway, let's try to get a little more live and let die action in here before the night's over. In fact, let's try some Sahara Desert training. Probably not going to have time for that many more attempts here, so... nice change of scenery. Alright. Fuel, I missed it. Of course I did. Got that one. I like the little fuel jingle. Satisfying. Oh! Fake fuel. Real fuel. Rocks. So I guess the gray boats that just crashed through you. I like that he didn't... Oh, I shot it. Okay. Like, they don't get destroyed when they crash into you, I guess? Of course, they always fucking put fuel at the very opposite end. Like, it's not like the game needs to be... It doesn't really need to go out of its way to be a dick, I feel like. Like, it's challenging enough without that. Yeah, out of fuel, of course. But that's how it goes. I mean, this was the first several attempts of the North Pole training mission as well. Well, let's try again. Are these games nailing the Bond experience? Honestly, and with good reason, I suppose, I think this one is actually kind of the weakest at that aspect of it. Not only does it not capture any, you know, any amount of the essence of this particular film, this film being Live and Let Die, which you wouldn't really know looking at the game. But it doesn't have too much of a general Bond vibe either, I feel like. Pretty good. Given that this apparently was not developed with the intention of being released as a Bond game, you can kind of forgive it. But it's still... I should have gone earlier. Let's see if we can still make it. Okay, yeah, I think it's fine. Like, even that first Atari 2600 game, played on the SG-1000 as well, like, that had the like the transforming underwater car boat thing. Oh, for fuck's sake. Like, even this boat, I mean, of course, Q's super missile-equipped speedboat isn't a thing in this film. It could be, but even then, like... Okay, I confirm that I can missile kill the fake fuel boats, at least. Like, that's, like, having something that is, you know, a Bond car that has weapons, sure, that's a Bond thing. But you wouldn't think of, you know, if it was a car that has a machine gun and a rocket launcher, that doesn't feel very Bond-like. Like, you would expect it to have more clever gadgets. And I feel like it's the exact same thing. Like, that doesn't change just because it's a speedboat. For this to feel sufficiently Bond-esque, like, it should have some kind of surprising, novel feature beyond, like, military armaments. Not to mention that the actual sort of mission at hand also, you know, it's just shooting everything that moves. And, well, shooting a lot of things, but mostly just collecting fuel. I mean, I guess could argue that you have this kind of globe spanning selection of levels, which is like kind of cool. But yeah, I don't know. Like even a Bond game all centered around driving would feel more faithful conceptually than one that's all about boating. Because at least like that, I fired all my missiles to try to get rid of the boats and I just missed everything. But there's a refill. Yeah. So I think that's something you should probably practice. Well, that's what this is for, I guess. Just getting rid of... Oh, there's a barrel over there, and of course I crashed instead. We still haven't finished leg 1. Although, in fairness, I think it took like a good... at least 3 or 4 attempts before we got to the second leg of the North Pole mission. Like the idea that Bond is training for this specific event. Yeah, Hoffman, there is a speedboat chase, which is naturally why they chose, or that's my interpretation of it anyway. They had a boat game, they were able to slap the Bond license on it, and instead of just doing it, you know, generically James Bond's action boating, they're like, hey, one of the Bond films actually had a speedboat chase, let's put that title on it. It's set in the Louisiana Bayou. It does not involve machine guns or rockets. It does not involve fake fuel barrels, closing gates, helicopters, or anything else featured in this game, really. It does feature Bond's fuel tank leaking. So, you know, maybe that part's... maybe that part's faithful. The real boat chase scene sounds lame. I don't know. I mean, there's a pretty cool part where he sneaks up on another dude in a boat and throws a gas tank on him and lights him on fire with a lighter, and then the dude drives into another boat with his boat and explodes. Like, that's pretty cool. That's cooler than anything that happens in this game, I feel like. They drive through a wedding reception. That's pretty cool. I mean, it's pretty funny. Pretty good. It's pretty good. It's like a Bond moment. You need to jump the sheriff's car. Yeah. Yeah, see, stuff like that. There's like jumping, which is cool, but there's no like stunting, kind of like, you know, jumping over stuff, or like, I don't know. But yeah, I was kind of thinking of what you said, that Setsubarrel. I like the idea that Bond is training for this specific event. I think that honestly is something that contributes to this, like, feeling like an awkward fit with the Bond thing, because if anything, I think what sort of exemplifies like the Bond movie formula is that he gets thrown into all these like crazy situations that he couldn't conceivably have prepared for specifically, right? So he has to really kind of improvise and wing it. But of course, he is like, you know, he has this like godly level of improvisational skills to just tackle any situation that gets thrown his way. And I mean, I guess at some point he's done training. But, you know, I was watching, I saw Top Gun Maverick earlier this summer, right? And, earlier this year. And I really enjoyed that movie, and I thought it was really cool. Like, it worked so well for that film, the structure of them. Like, if you haven't seen it, whatever. But basically, in the film is all about this one mission that has to be blown. And the majority of the movie is, like, about training for that one mission. And I think it's really smart filmmaking, because you spend a lot of time learning about the intricacies of what the mission is entailing. And, like, by the time you see it happen at the end of the film, you're so, like, you've kind of memorized the sequence of what's to be expected. But of course, you know, they've only trained in kind of a simulated fashion or whatever, so it's still, like, when it's for real, it's different. but you can follow along with what's happening. The stakes are extremely clear, like, and it fits super well with, of course, like, it makes sense. If you could, you would practice for something like that. So, like, in that story, it works really well to have that structure. And I feel like, I don't know, that it would make for a great game that you practice one mission and then you fly that mission. But, like, structurally and narratively, it makes a lot of sense. But for Bond specifically, I feel like it's a little bit of a... it's a weird approach, because the whole thing with Bond is not only does he get thrown into these crazy situations, but he's also kind of a little bit cavalier about it. You know, there's a level of nonchalance to it, like, you know, fuck it, I'll get out of this one way or the other. And by having the game themed around training missions, exercises, I think it's hard to... you know, it doesn't make you feel like Bond when you're driving a speedboat, shooting things, and failing at it because it's very difficult, and then doing that again for... yeah, I don't know. It feels more like Top Gun, but, I don't know, Top Boat. Which, not a bad game concept. I don't think this is a bad game because of it, but I think it doesn't really capture the essence of James Bond. Yeah, Pilot Wing's a great example. Like, it's all about... I mean, most of the game, like, you have this school setting, you're practicing, you're taking these licenses, and then you go to this, like, helicopter attack mission at the end. It's pretty sick. Order Down, all about training for a real mission in the second half. Yeah, I mean, I think there is conceptually something arguably kind of compelling about that idea. You just have to have the right material for it, and I don't think Bond is it. Yeah, Narc, the Narc training mission. Yeah, I'm still feeling a bit unsure about the whole fuel and speed equation. You know, I didn't even consider it, but you do literally have a speedometer on screen. You do maintain speed. Yeah, definitely tricky to deal with the fake fuel dispensing enemy boats. You can go up there way earlier, but... like, honestly, going fast doesn't generally, I think, make it that much harder to avoid obstacles. Like, for the most part, the river's, like, pretty wide, right? It's more about being able to... it's more about being able to hit the fuel tanks than it is about avoiding obstacles. So maybe you could kind of, just to a degree, optimize strategies around when you need to go slow. These guys like zigzag. There was a part where the river narrows. It wasn't here. Okay, stay on the right hand side. I want to say there was fuel on the left before it narrowed again. But was I mistaken in that? Or... no, I was not. I will say it is definitely satisfying. Like, if you had a little more time and patience, I feel like this could be a really satisfying game to master. Like, this definitely feels unlike The Living Daylights. Oh, that's a PB. At least so far. You know, I can only speak to the levels I've played. But of the levels I've played, I certainly feel that you could learn to master it, or at least complete it. This requires significant patience. And I do think then maybe the levels are a bit long. Like, if you had checkpoints or lives or saves or, you know, something. I could see it being pretty fun to get through. But assuming, again, you have to do all of the however many missions on one life. I don't know. It's, I don't think I could, muster up that level of patience slash sheer force of will. Whatever it takes. I want to stay on the right here to... Well, okay. Bench... There's going to be the bands of rocks before the river narrows. Is that this part? More of this first, I guess. Nice, got him with the missile. But now I need more ammo. Nice. Beat past this guy. Now there's rocks. Yep. Alright. Pretty much nailed that. That feels pretty good. But we're still very low on fuel. Rocks. Gotta speed up. Nice, okay. Thought I could sneak past that. No such luck. Yeah, we're running out of fuel. Oh, okay, I had a little bit more than I thought. Fuck's sake! Did I really hit that? I guess yes. Always? I mean, I guess at that point you can just assume that if we have to go up on the bank to avoid obstacles, that you should just immediately go the far, you know, on the opposite end. Because there's gonna be a fuel barrel there. Okay, we're recovering pretty decently here, all things considered. There's fuel there, I missed it. Yeah, I guess you kind of just want to keep a higher average speed. I don't know. Dude, that was pretty close. Collision gods were on our side there. Fuel, please. Oh, of course it was on the other side. Out of fuel. Speed up. Ah! It's pretty funny. Even, you know, you'd think you could coast a little bit further than that. Remember enjoying this on the C64? Yeah, I'm looking forward to trying the other versions too. But yeah, that was a good attempt relative to earlier ones. Like, we made decent progress. But so far, the furthest we've gone on either of these is like a fair bit into the third leg. And we didn't get that far this time. I mean, that was the longest I've gotten on this level. But we got to leg 3 on the North Pole mission. Which means I don't know... I've never seen the end of a level, so I don't know how far it goes. Even the controls of that little stunt feels like something that could be like really awkward, but it actually, it's like really easy and feels good. Like, I'm impressed with how well this game plays, just in general. Like, yeah, it's tricky and awkward in places. How did that not hit me? But for the most part, it's really not bad. Like, given how terrible something like this easily could have been. Okay, sure. Whatever. Like, even going at, like, pretty high speeds, it doesn't feel like you're completely out of control. Even stuff like that. If you know what's coming up, it's reasonably, like, obstacles are reasonably avoidable. Reasonably. I don't think we'll make it even out of this tunnel here on this level of fuel. Oh, well, I was wrong. Hey, nice. On the left there. But it's a lot to memorize, frankly. Oh, of course. Okay, at least we know that if we avoid this, there's fuel on the left. And I missed it. But yeah, see, even this, like, what felt like a fairly disastrous attempt. Yeah, I keep missing fuel here, so we're done for. Like, several very obvious mistakes. I'm still almost at the point. Like, I'm almost as far as we got last time. That felt like a good attempt. This feels like an awful attempt. At least I don't think we made it to the second gate, did we? We probably made it a little bit further than this, but not by much. Yeah, I'm just putting in something else to just kind of differentiate the high score entries to see. Also, yeah, I didn't think of it, but that is definitely a separate leaderboard from the other mission, right? So I wonder if that's indicative of how the game works. Like, it could be that once you complete a mission, you have infinite attempts for the other missions. I certainly would not expect that, but who knows? Like, if you have to do the missions in sequence, it wouldn't keep separate leaderboards. Granted, it's entirely possible that the separate leaderboards are only, like, specifically for the training missions. Guess we might eventually find out. We'll move on to trying out the New Orleans missions pretty soon here, because we don't have that much time left tonight. I wanted to try to wrap up a little early tonight as well. Now, you have to be really precise. Yeah, this is a... Dude. Okay. Like, just the 3D depth there, kind of what moved at what speed. Being a bit weird. That dude just stuck around for so long. They have another one. So many of these guys. But at least they have, like, a pretty... yeah, whatever. A pretty distinct and kind of easily discernible pattern. Easily discernible, of course, does not necessarily equate to easily avoidable. But they're not, like, super erratic and random and like, unpredictable. So that's, again, one of the many ways that this game is surprisingly generous, humane, civilized, whatever you want to call it. Let's see if we can get one more, at least, reasonably decent attempt that we can be somewhat happy with. Yeah. I guess even these guys, the fake fuel guys, going fast, if you can, is like a good strat. Because obviously, like, if you go past them, it seems like you basically are rid of them. I don't know that to be completely and factually true. But sometimes, for sure, feels like that works. Fuck. Okay. So yeah, like, I went past him. Just... I kind of keep forgetting that you can at least... The boat itself, you need to hit with a missile. But the fake fuel barrels you can get with a bullet. Yep, I need the other missile. Oh! Perfectly in sync there. It started off okay, but then it fell apart very quickly. Yeah, I'm out of fuel anyway. I know there's fuel here, but... Nice way to end that. Okay, well, that was not an attempt we can be reasonably happy with. Let's say we should at least get onto the leaderboard. Gamer posture here. See if that helps. Got him. There's another one, like, immediately after. Oh, I missed that fuel. It's not very easy to get fuel. It's, like, on the inside of a turn. This one is not that tough to grab. Not sure if I've ever missed it past that first time. Helicopter's coming up, I want to say. Yep. I think it's an enemy helicopter. I did get it. Sick. I was going to say, I guess you jump and shoot. Oh, how did I miss that? Very tough to avoid. His turn, yep. Rocks. Yep. Left of the mine. Nice. Dude, these narrow... Whoa! Tunnels. Burning. Oh, man, that's scary as shit. Oh, that was a barrel. Okay. Red helicopter is a friend. Yeah. Shit. Okay, that's not good. Alright, there's that. Yeah, even crawling. Like, I don't think I've ever failed going up the bank and, like, misjudged the speed and distance so that I crashed into the obstacle. Which is, like, surprising. You would expect something like that to be more finicky. Actually, surprisingly lenient. Is that a barrel over there on the far right? I think it might have been. I need fuel. Bond needs fuel badly. Yeah. Well, that's a high, or, you know, not a high score, but we're on the leaderboard. Does it say? Yeah, Sahara Desert Training. I can't tell if it's harder than a North Pole training or if I just haven't practiced it as much. Well, let's do the New Orleans mission. Let's see what that's like. And maybe before we wrap up, we'll go back and try the North Pole mission to see if, like, these other levels are more demanding, if that made us more proficient. Who knows? But let's check out the New Orleans mission. Oh, there's actual briefing. Mission: to find Mr. Big and destroy his drug processing plant. Oh, okay. Not that much of a briefing, but... Okay, let's do it. Okay, sure. Well, at least the other guy also crashed. Makes me feel a little bit better. The, like, lighting effect of the explosions lighting up the dark tunnel. That's such a cool effect. It's a rock. It's also a rock. Okay. Fuel, please. Thank you. I shouldn't have turned left. Greetings. Empty. I'm a little bit incapacitated at the moment. I cannot really read chat very well. This game is highly intense. I'll catch up when I can. So far, this feels a lot easier than the Sahara mission. Didn't really need that, but... Fuel on the right? Yep, you bet. No! Ah! Like, when you're turning like this, you can't really shoot... like, to the left, you know? Well, I mean, we made it through leg 1 on our first attempt. That's better than we did on either training mission. It's like the training paid off. Whoa, this is new. I was gonna say, which side is the fuel gonna be on? It was on the left. Okay, it's a bit... dick move. Okay, out of fuel. But hey, I mean, that was pretty good for a first attempt. Twitch not showing them online? Well, Twitch gonna Twitch. Top 00 agents. New Orleans mission. See, that's a... So the score is per mission for sure. Well, what this has me relatively convinced of is that when we reconvene for more Games Bond on Wednesday, I should prioritize this mission to see if we can learn to get through it. Because like I said, I don't know if it's the training or what, but this doesn't feel like an escalation in difficulty from the Sahara. Why did I do that? Because I'm very eager to find out how the like progression in this game works. Damn, that was a barrel. Because if you have essentially infinite attempts at a mission, i.e. progress doesn't like reset, then that puts things in a totally different light. Like, of course, there's nothing to say that the third or fourth mission couldn't be ridiculously difficult and you'd still, at the end of the day, be stuck in an impossible, unwinnable scenario. Oh, come on. But there's still a distinction, I think, between having the game be that difficult, like, towards the end, versus being that difficult from the beginning. No! Ah! See, that's exactly what happened last time, too. I turned a little bit too far, just a pixel too far, and I ended up missing that barrel. Now, okay, so where do you jump? There's logs across the entire width of the river. You're gonna have to jump. But is there a point where you can aim to jump that's gonna make you not land on a rock? Or do I have to go at a certain speed? We made it further, though. A pixel too far. Good Bond movie name. Yeah, maybe. Oof. I mean, yeah. Ultimately, my perception hasn't changed, or my expectation hasn't changed much in terms of... like, yeah, I'm gonna need a trainer to get through this. But I also kind of feel like I did with The Living Daylights, where what you get is infinite, but I wish I kind of had a cheat that gave me maybe double HP instead of infinite. Because that might be enough. Well, this is not going great. Like, even when it's quote-unquote easy, there's not a lot of margin for error in this game, which is, I guess, a very Amiga-like quality. Speed up a little. I could have just shot that, I guess. I wonder if, like, what happens if you're up on that bank when it ends. Like, do you fall off or something? Like, realistically, I guess you just jump. Speaking of. Yeah, I guess you can't really be on that far side. Or you will inevitably jump. Like, I think I did it. I survived it the first time, I think. Nice. Got it this time. Still not doing great on fuel. To the left. Ooh, yep, okay, I survived. You want to kind of go to the left, I guess. Nice. Okay, that was pretty cool. Oof, I actually got it. Some fucking Sky Roads shit here. Different, like, shaped tracks. Okay, fuel, please. Thank you. I obviously didn't mean to drive right into the path of those bullets. I just wanted to, like, put more of the river on screen in case there were fuel barrels on the other side. Now we need more fuel again. Probably not going to be fuel at the same time as there's ammo. Nice, okay. Okay, left again. Yeah, probably left is not where you want to be there, but gonna do. Out of fuel. Oh, I hit something. Need a trainer for the training mission game? I mean, it's only appropriate, right? Nothing ever cleared a single stage. Yeah, that's a thing, you know? That's another reason why the whole, like, obsession with beating games... I fully respect, and, you know, to each their own. Like, I'm not saying people shouldn't, you know, do whatever it takes to push themselves to beat a game that's unreasonably difficult or whatever. Obviously, there's plenty of satisfaction to be derived from the, you know, the sense of accomplishment. But that's great. But so I'm not, like, criticizing people for taking that sort of stance of, like, I'm gonna play this until I finish it, you know, hell or high water. But it's more that the idea that a game needs to be seen through completion for your experience having played the game to be sort of valid, or like that completing a game is how you play a game. I'm not really talking about, like, Twitch streamers who do, you know, challenge projects or whatever. I'm just speaking in a very general sense. Like, for example, another situation where that thought might come up is, you know, talking about game reviews, and, like, missed the barrel, but I didn't die at least. The idea that a review of a game can't be valid if the person who reviewed the game didn't complete it. Yeah, I didn't think I grabbed that. I was going too fast. Go left is what I've told myself. Okay. Speed makes that such a... Like, for a modern game where, you know, skill isn't necessarily much of a determining factor in whether you'll see... Turning after jumping is kind of awkward. See the entirety of the game or not, like, whatever. But even so, I don't agree with the idea that you need to have finished a game to be able to review it, because surely you'll be able to tell if you enjoyed it or not. Or, like, if the only reason I would find that to be problematic is if you play a game and you enjoy it, but you stop playing it, and if you had played it further, you would have soured on it. Like, if that's the case, I think that is something, you know, that you should critique the game for. But if the game isn't clicking with you and you don't finish it, it's not like forcing yourself through it is going to give you a more valid idea of what you think of the game. Now, like, there's a lot of opinions and thoughts and emotions about game reviews, and it's not something I personally take much stock in either way. But just as an example of the like this kind of idea that that completing a game is how you play a game, or that someone who didn't even finish a game has like is not entitled to an opinion on it or whatever. But as you said, you know, playing this as a kid, I loved it. I don't think I ever completed a single level. Like, I feel like that's my experience with countless, not just Amiga games, but like the vast majority of games I played as a kid, I did not finish. And my ability to finish a game or not did not really in any meaningful way color my assessment of like whether I liked the game or not. Me liking a game, you know, I could have a game that's like really fun and really cool, but it becomes kind of impossible later on. Sure, I can critique that, and sure, I could say I would enjoy the game more if I was able to see the entirety of it. But I think at the same time, if I reach a point where I can't progress any further, if I had fun up until that point, and I still had fun with it. And a game can be fun and engaging, even if it's like, even if you're not able to get through the game the entire way through, or in some cases, not even really get anywhere in it. And of course, I never claimed or set out to finish every Bond game as part of this, or I mean, it goes far beyond that. It's just like how I play games on stream and how I play games, period. If something is enjoyable and it's something that has an end, yeah, I'll enjoy wanting to see it through, but I never feel bad about dropping a game if I'm not enjoying it. And that can be for any number of reasons, but as far as older games go, it could very easily be it's too difficult for me, or I don't have the patience to practice the skills necessary to beat it. And I think that's honestly been true for my entire life. That's not to say I can't find a feeling of accomplishment in beating a game. Of course I can. I just don't let that dictate, you know, whether I'm enjoying a game or not. So for a game like this, as I mentioned, you know, if the game had, I guess you wouldn't call it lives, but let's call it credits or continues, so you could fail and run out of fuel up to 3 times or something, or there were like checkpoints, let's say, you know, each leg of the mission, if I fail, I could start from that point, you know, something like that, or just the levels being shorter. It would greatly enhance my ability to see any of these levels through, at which point I could, okay, I would have the option to engage with the game in that kind of way, where I'm like, all right, now I can practice this. Let's see if I can finish the game. Because realistically, I don't think that'll be an option for me. I think the game is too hard for me to really be able to do that. Or at least under the levels of you know, patience that I'm willing to give it. Oh, fuck's sake. So yeah, I could say that I think it would make for a better experience. So I would prefer that, sure. But given what it is, even if I'm doomed to not have any chance of completing this game without cheating, that doesn't mean I can't enjoy it or have fun with it. Like, I wouldn't be able to say, like, yeah, you know, well, I wouldn't say this for this game anyway, but let's say a game. I wouldn't say like, oh, it would have been awesome, but because I can't beat it, it's shit. So it's not like difficulty is completely, or let's not say difficulty, but let's say ability for you to finish a game or play through it. They're not completely, there's not zero connection between those two things. But I think for anything, I kind of look at aspects, I should say, aspects of it to enjoy. As long as I find something to enjoy about it, then... I was moving left. Then I can kind of happily overlook whatever I don't enjoy. You know, up until a point, right? Mines... slow down a little. Oh, never mind. That's completely not at all the section I thought. Let's part. Really dodge these logs. We got like full fuel here. Nice. A big jump. Nope. Not yet. Clearly don't have this level very well memorized. Is it after here? Yeah, okay. Full on far left. There's no rock hugging the left edge, so if I hug the left edge, I'll be okay. Okay, sure. I feel like that's like designed for you to jump up and shoot that helicopter, but we'll miss. I missed that fuel also. Not good. Oh, doubly not good. There is a rock hugging the left edge there. Okay. Not gonna work. Yeah. My fuel went to full, to like, from full to like 5% in not that long. Yeah, like missing 2 fuel tanks and your entire meter is drained before you have... or before you have a chance to get any more. Oh, it's difficult. Growing up, thought most of these games broken, so they must be unfinishable. Yeah, for sure. That's like... I mean, that's the thing. Like, you're conditioned, I think, playing these games. Like, most of them would have a trainer. A lot of them, like, Amiga games generally are very difficult, right? So, it's not at all... It's not at all crazy to look at this game and just kind of dismiss it as like, what the fuck? And especially when you have the cheat kind of there so easily. I mean, there's a lot of games where I still feel that way. And, you know, sometimes I'm proven wrong, you know, like, when fucking, Macaw played through Batman Returns on the Amiga, I was absolutely flabbergasted that he like, actually played that game and beat it. Because in my mind, having played it, it just felt, like, absolutely impossible. He, I guess, found some weird cheese strats that enabled you to actually defeat enemies without dying. And, I mean, he still had to give it several attempts, and he's surely far, far more skilled than me when it comes to a lot of, you know, our gaming. But even so, like, I wouldn't have looked at that and thought, like, well, you just need to be a little better at it and be a little more patient. It just seems so preposterously unfair that I just didn't feel like it looked like it could be done. But I feel like there's, you know, if you look at it and you cannot conceive of how one would beat it legitimately, like, the step from there isn't very far to, like, just go, whatever, fuck it then, I guess. Especially if you have cheats then and there. Tracking C on the CPC wasn't huge, so you're mostly playing legit. Yeah, I mentioned before, like, I had a friend who had an Amiga who actually had, mostly almost exclusively, I think, like point-and-click adventure. Well, Sierra Adventures, I guess. Although I think he bought Monkey Island 2, because we'd played Monkey 1. As I mentioned, we were playing through the Monkey Island games earlier this year. The copy of Monkey Island that he had was missing disc 4. So we could play through, which we did. Arduously made it through parts 1 and 2. And then when you reach Monkey Island, like, insert disc 4. And we were both like, what? There's a disc 4? Because you know, you swap between discs 1, 2, and 3 regularly throughout the first 2 parts of the game, and you never use disc 4 because I guess disc 4 just has all the assets for Monkey Island. And so we never actually finished it, but we both loved it anyway, which, you know, case in point. So he bought Monkey Island 2. But he had like a couple of adventure games, and that was pretty much it. I mean, he still obviously also had a ton of pirate floppies. But I just don't really recall seeing like a retail box for an Amiga game at anyone else's house who had an Amiga. And I had quite a few friends growing up who had Amiga computers. So that's just what it was like. Like, Commodore 64, especially if you had a floppy drive, like with tapes, it was a different story. You could have copied games on tape, but tape games were so cheap, right? So you could still have a pile of tapes that were all like legitimate original copies. But if someone had a floppy drive with their C64, they definitely had a big box of floppies of copied games. I mean, it was so, like, I remember, yeah, I used like Xcopy to copy Amiga games and stuff too. Like, I remember that being a thing for sure too. Like, it was just part of the whole thing for sure. And that meant that a lot of games you played would have crack throws, they would have trainers. That was just part of the experience. Okay, I'm not wrapping up the stream that much earlier, but we'll give this one last shot. We're not going to beat it, but we'll get a little bit of practice in here, I guess. You cannot crash by hitting the walls in the tunnels either, which is nice. Again, like, I'm so impressed with how many little things this game does. Not be a dick. I guess makes it sting all the more when it does decide to be a dick. But oh well. You'd be thankful that that isn't a constant. Although, to be fair, if that's the word, I don't think Amiga games being impossible is typically because of them being very purposefully a dick. Far more, it feels the typical experience is just that it's so haphazard and everything is just kind of random and what. Oh, nice! I fucking sniped the barrel. Ah, okay, so you can go on the far left to avoid it. I guess that's the easier strat than trying to zigzag through there. Like, the specific kind of impossibleness of your average Amiga game often feels like it just comes down to screens being like covered in shit and just like weird rules for collisions and whatever else and stuff, just not feeling very well thought out, or you know, just turn out that way, I guess. So it's not necessarily out of malice, but maybe dude, I was so shocked. I managed to go between the logs. I did not think that would be a thing. All right, well, learning something new on every attempt here. Finding even the fucking rocks under some circumstances can be a little bit tricky to distinguish from the barrels. I did not mean to go up on the on the bank there, but that's the first time I actually crashed like that. Come on. Yeah, we have these like extreme turns. Things can get weird. Okay, I think this might be a PB. Ah, barrel. Oh, maybe not. Barrel. Oh my jaw. Oh. Oh, and I jump over it. Well, we made it to the second gate. Blew it up even. Live and let die giveth, live and let die taketh away. But that's progress. And again, like, you could conceivably have, like, got one of those barrels and it would make me survive just a little bit longer. So we'll see. Maybe on Wednesday, we enable the trainer. You know, we could do infinite fuel and do like all the training missions to see, because what if the levels have like 5 legs? At that point, we know it's like so much further away than it feels like. I'm like making a huge assumption here that there might be 3 legs to a level, because I feel like that's the length I could conceive of being still like, you know, reasonably beatable. So if it's further than that, then we kind of know that we don't have a chance. But either way, I think on Wednesday we'll endeavor to sightsee our way through the rest of the game. There's still like 4 or 5 other versions of this that I want to play, so that might bleed into Saturday's stream even. We'll see. I'm not sure. But we will definitely come back to the Amiga version of Ian Fleming's James Bond 007 in Live and Let Die, the computer game, on Wednesday's stream. We will leave Bond there for now, however. Trying to catch up on chat. I just realized chat going crazy here. Played French parser text adventures. Sounds like a good time. Yeah, Amiga, like I said, like piracy was just the standard, right? Trying to remember how many Amiga games I bought original out of the hundreds I played. Came up with about 4. Yeah, of course. I mean, that's not like, I don't think as a kid you would even have, like, the morals don't come into it whatsoever. I mean, when you're a kid, what do you even understand about money or anything? But like, I feel like, I mentioned my friend bought Monkey Island 2. I don't think there was ever a conscious decision making in terms of, I want to support the creators of this, or I want to have an original copy of this. I think it was as simple as, holy shit, there's a Monkey Island 2. I want to play that. I will buy it so that I can get it to play it. Because the means we would have had would have been like, when our parents would be kind enough to take us to the toy store and maybe let us buy something, or borrow/copy this game off a friend. And if none of the people in our specific circle of friends happen to own a copy of Monkey Island 2, then I guess you go buy it, you know? So like, I mean, that was my experience anyway. I'm sure people who are a little bit older would have maybe had a wider range, you know, maybe someone's older brother or dad or whoever might have had, you know, connections, BBSs, or, you know, mailing lists, or something other, you know, just even, I'm sure just by, you know, classifieds and computer magazines, you could get in touch with people. I don't think that was like difficult, but it was a little bit out of reach for us when we were like, you know, 7 or 8. So, I mean, yeah, of course, like people selling, I mean, yeah, I remember that was thing when I was a little bit older. I was in like middle school. I had a classmate who's like, had a CD, like some random CD with pirated games or something. And it was like, yeah, he wanted to like charge like per game copied off this disc or whatever. Like, of course, I'm not saying there weren't situations that you were highly suspicious and questioning of. But in terms of what as an adult or currently you would maybe bring into your the ethics and morals of pirating games versus buying them, that equation looked very, very differently. It looked very different 30 years ago, and/or when you were like 7. Anyway, stream is wrapping up for tonight, but I will be back on my channel to stream more Bond games on Wednesday. But I will also be streaming tomorrow, sort of, kind of. I mentioned this up top, but we probably got more people here who didn't see or hear me mention that. I have been invited to join Ash Said Hi alongside Ann K and Chubo to stream on Ash's channel tomorrow night. We are doing a little group activity. We're doing some live drawing together. And we are doing that to promote a new Twitch feature called Guest Star that seems pretty cool, actually. I'm not saying this because I'm getting paid or anything. I'm getting paid in exposure. But mostly I'm just honored to be part of it because it sounds like a lot of fun, and I feel like I am by far the least, I don't want to say successful, but like, I have the smallest following, I feel like, out of the 4. So I was flattered to be asked to join. But basically the way the thing works is like you can have, like through Twitch itself, you can invite other people, and through a browser window, basically they will, they can join with camera and mic, and you can like capture that on your stream and bring people in. So it's basically a thing to make it easier to collaborate and like co-stream with other people, which seems really cool. So we're gonna be on Ash's channel from 9 p.m. Central European time, and we're gonna be going for about an hour, I guess, because she has a Twitch front page time slot, so that's gonna be exciting. So if that sounds like a good time, which it certainly does to me, let's see if I can organize this. You should go follow Ash, which you should do anyway, because she's a cool streamer. Very positive, fun attitude, and she streams all kind of old games and stuff. And check that out tomorrow night. I don't draw enough bears with big butt cheeks. Well, I'm gonna have to take that under advice, I suppose. I will meditate on that and see how that goes. But yeah, that's gonna be it's gonna be fun, I'm sure. I'm terribly nervous about drawing, not just while people are watching, which is fine, but more so that like I'm supposed to achieve something in an hour. I don't like, I'm bad at doodling and drawing things like quickly, so I have no idea how that's gonna work out. But even if I fail spectacularly, I'll be doing so in the company of some really cool people, so I'm sure it'll be a good time regardless. In any case, check that out tomorrow. Have I considered doing my part in Mario Paint? We're doing an online collaborative thing, so that would not work. But I will say this, I've had fun with Mario Paint. It is not any way to paint more quickly or efficiently than I would otherwise. Now, let's see who is streaming so we can raid them. What is happening on Twitch? Let's see. Do my eyes betray me? No. Geneva is streaming the Mega Drive X-Men game. She's doing Marvel Week. Geneva is a super cool streamer. She does like themed weeks, does requests for games and stuff. Super chill. Let's go crash Geneva's stream and check out some Mega Drive X-Men. Did Mario Paint save drawings? You can save one picture, yeah. But you can do what I did and stream it to Twitch and record it. Actually, the manual does recommend, or like shows like a diagram for how to hook up a VCR so that you can record your paintings on VHS, which is pretty sick. Anyway, thanks for hanging out, guys. This was fun. Live and Let Die, medium level of impossibility for an Amiga game, but enjoyable nonetheless. I'll see you guys for more Bond on Wednesday, and hope to see some of y'all on Ash's stream tomorrow night as well. Take care of yourselves, take care of each other. See you guys. Thank you for watching, and goodbye.